This is Cybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Battle Base Beta for Game 1 of this Best of 5. Welcome back to the BattleNet Qualifier for Gathering Storm. We've got ourselves the Red Allies in the top side. This is Pika. And in the south side, an oldie but a goodie. He's a classic. He's a noob. It's Classicnoob, which is just a tremendous name for someone to have in a competitive game. I mean, what a great way to, like, stick it to your opponents. If you beat them, they got beat by a classic noob. And then, of course, if you rise through the ranks as the #1 player, everything's good. But if you're just sort of mid-level or not very good, then you're either just insulting yourself, or maybe you're living up to expectations. You are pre-labeling yourself as a classic noob, so the expectations are quite low. Couple of peacekeepers here in the opening. No big push to the middle for Pika. This is something we used to see quite a lot on Battle Base Beta many years ago. Allied players would almost always want to contest the middle. These days, I feel like it's less common. You will still see the double barracks super PK push, but a lot of times it's a faster airfield. In this case, it is going to be Riptides as well. I think that was Riptides after second refinery. So we do have a nice solid income base to work with. But we are here in round 3. I did want to mention it is the round of 16. If I remember that correctly, I'm 99% sure that it is the round of 16 here in the upper bracket of the BattleNet qualifier. Tengu snipes the dog. No core on the way just yet for the expansion. We've been paying a lot of attention to the allied side of the map with Pika, not paying a lot of attention to the classic noob side of the map. As the first Apollo shows up, going to be fighting with that Tengu, dancing around there over the Empire base. Riptide's now going to be backing on off. I did not spot any Javs coming out, so I think this is just PK Riptide. This is not any kind of 5 Jav to sniper refinery on the other side of the map or anything like that. There were a couple of Javs built at the very beginning. I think only 2. I'm not 100% sure, but he might have a couple of more beyond that. Riptides do show up. Riptides get shut down. This is a lot of Tengus. One still in the sky will transform, and the Vindicator will be able to pick off 1 Tengu, but it's going to be triple Apollo, 1 Vindicator. This is more common with a Cryocopter with it. We don't have Tier 2 just yet from Pika, so Cryocopters are still a little ways away, and I don't spot a 3rd refinery just yet from the Empire player either. Vindicator coming back over, and with the 3 Apollos on watch over those Tengus, the Empire player knows that it is only 1 Vindicator, so you can really only kill 1 Tengu at a time. Well, actually, I didn't check their health bars. Maybe there was an opportunity to split some bombs and get more than 1 Tengu, but generally, if you stay on the ground, you're going to be pretty safe. He's not going to be able to kill you off that quickly. Dojo does get deployed, does end up getting spotted right as it's coming online. So that is a potentially sneaky spot for Classicnoob to go do something. Is he as crazy as to try and go for a Eureka out of this? Or is he just wanting to block off the refinery? Well, we have our answer now. Apollos come back in for the scout, but that is a lot of Tengus, so they will be scared away for now. 3rd refinery up and running for the Allied player, not the Soviet player at all. And despite the early action in this game, there has not been much harassment on the eco front. 1 Tengu gets sniped immediately. For the current moment, the Apollos survive. Tengu's now going to be splitting up, going for a bit of an accidental force fire, it seems, as the IFV goes down. The Tengu gets eliminated, and the Harvester goes back to work. Another Tengu going to be getting split off. 2 Javs from the beginning of the game. They get annihilated as Classicnoob is gunning down Pika in his own main base. Low power mode for the 3 refinery allied player, and now he's going to be missing a Harvester as well. Tengus get the snipe, they kill the Vindicator, and now they're hoping to trade out against the Apollos as well. The IFV is going to make that a fair fight, get a couple of hits back for the Allies, but it's not enough to even the score. Pika still fighting that low power mode. He's up to tier 2, but he has not had the opportunity to make it worth it. That Apollo nearly goes down. Tengus may end up trading back yet again. Harvester harass is continuing. Classicnoob isn't letting Pika get his feet back under him, and the Harvester exits out the back of the refinery as another Tengu goes down. This is costly for the Empire player, but behind it, he's got a third refinery. He's kept his oil derrick online, and the harassment will continue. Cryoshot going to be coming in, will trap 1, 2 Tengus, will go down, and this is now costing even more for the Empire player. These other Tengus are just about trapped behind enemy lines. Even with point defense drones, they will eventually go down to the bombs of the Vindicator, or the guns of the Apollos. And there's another kill there. The IFB getting constant repairs, getting back up to that heroic status. This guy is earning his keep. But again, the economy of the allied player is under threat pretty consistently. Tsunami Tank may eventually go down, but he takes the Harvester with him, and the rebuild starts right there. So the economy of the allied player, once strong, once ahead of that of the Empire, has fallen a bit behind. Rebuild is happening. IFV just slowly killing off that Tengu, and this has given so much space to the Empire player to be able to do whatever he wants, which it seems like it's just getting tier 2 on his mecha bay, getting that third refinery up and running. He maintains control of the middle of the map. He has deployed a dojo here so he can start mixing up the unit comp. He's not just limited to what is there at the mecha bay, and a couple of tank busters, 2, 3, 4 tank busters. Not a huge commitment in terms of economy, but adds a lot of power into this army, as long as you can keep them alive and you're good with the micro, and we will see if Classicnoob is good with the micro. 2, 3 Tsunami Tanks maybe on the front line, just 2 for the current moment versus the Guardian tanks. And for the current moment, the airfield has remained untouched. So no cryocopters, but no kill off of those air units. Vindicators come in, they secure 1 kill against this Empire force, and I'm surprised there hasn't been a rebuild of Tengus. Having a couple of Tengus here or there to be able to split off, attack, harass, find an angle on the side is always nice, but for the current moment, it's Strikers, Tank Busters, and Tsunamis. Point defense drones make this a harder angle to engage. Cryocopter on the front line. Engineers stealing the oil derrick, and units going to be pushing forward. Tsunami tanks guarding away these Guardians, pushing them away from the tank busters, but the cryo shot keeps the tank busters for engaging for the first moment. Tank busters getting some good damage off on those Guardians. Cryocopters moving in, 2 of them moving together, low on health, needs some repairs. Airfield finally taking damage. Oil derrick has been secured, and the Apollos no longer have any place to land. No more cryocopters for the moment. No more Vindicators either. As the Vindicator goes down, he won't be rebuilt until that airfield is back online. Riptide is here. This is a lot of Empire forces to try and dislodge. Pika doesn't have a lot of options since he's already used his cryo shot. He's lost that big one-click that can sometimes trap an entire army and save you from a situation like this. 14. Okay, there's the GG. The army supply was getting out of hand for the Empire player, and Classicnoob picks up the first win in this best of 5 series. And as we jump into Deep Sea, I do want to remind you that there is Gathering Storm merch available. You can grab some t-shirts, coffee mug, even a mouse mat if you want. Help support the tournament, help support myself, Drive, who did all the design, and well, he also did the design for the scoreboard for basically every event that I run. Help support him a bit too. And of course, we are partnered with a merch company, so they handle all of that. Airfield first from Pika will drop those bombs on that dojo. So if you want, grab some merch or not, you can enjoy the tournament either way. 2 Vindicators here for Pika, and he will be able to knock down... Ooh, too much repair. Did he not refuel fully? I thought he split off the bombs. He was trying to save one bomb. Oh, he gets the oil derrick. That is unbelievably annoying for Pika. Classicnoob with a very strong opening here on Deep Sea. Pika going for that airfield first, going to be skipping the barracks entirely. No barracks for him in this matchup, in this moment, and we do have one defender core. So this is not a big reaction to a cryo rush. This is a very moderate reaction. You got one safety defender core. Sometimes when Empire players suspect that there might be a cryo rush on the way, which we haven't seen confirmed, he did go barracks instead of going for the super fast. Man, those burst drones slowing down the economy. And no, he's not going tier 2 at all, so it is just another power plant. There we go. MCV packed up, and this defender core is not really necessary. A couple of indicators out on the field. Apollo now going out for the scout, looking to hunt. Two Apollos winging their way around the map. Engineer going to be going for the oil derrick, and the MCV is kind of angled either towards the water or towards the middle of the map. That is something you would see on Battlebase Beta, which this is sort of the twisted variant of Battlebase Beta. Not exactly, but I believe that was the original inspiration for this version of the map. But you would see that sometimes in Battlebase Beta. Whoa! Double airfield! Not something we see very often. Burst drone on the Apollo, just going to keep him on the deck for a few more seconds maybe. But there is the turn of the Tengus. They are looking for the instant snap engage onto the Apollos, and they will find one Apollo, but not the second. Third Apollo will end up going down, and that second guy managed to avoid death, but that is it. Pika moving forward, going to be able to find a very aggressive MCV position on the other side of the map. This is not just camping out in the middle and hoping for the best. This is an all-in, all-the-way engage with your MCV. We're going to push some turrets, and we're going to hope that we can win in the next couple of minutes. Or this is going to stretch out for 15 more minutes as both players lose their economy and have to run around the map, chasing each other, barely staying alive, always cycling out their units and trying to just keep things going. Barracks onto the front line. Apollo's in the sky waiting for those Tengus to engage, but there's going to be the first turret deployed. This is where having that extra power plant back at home is helpful, but Pika's already at his max. He went engineer from that position. That's crazy to spend the cash on an engineer at this point in the game when you don't have that much ground control. Tsunami Tank does go down. Apollos get shredded, and the Tengus still survive after the moment. Vindicators are going to have a very dangerous time crossing the map, and with this double multi-gunner turret, you really need something else to support it, because otherwise the Empire player can just bleed you dry. Tsunami Tank doesn't even have to die. He activates the nano deflectors. He does not reverse move, so he is hoping to just go for the suicide, get the extra damage if he needs it. He doesn't even need it. Vindicators coming back in. They will be able to clean up a couple of Tengus, but the Tsunami Tanks are still here. Another Tengu going down, and with the honorable discharge upgrade, every Empire unit that you kill off does some damage to you as well. Apollo's coming back over, but the GG comes out. Pika has been defeated. Classicnoob picks up a second win in this best of 5 in just about 5 minutes. And as we load onto Mers Landing, it is do or die for Pika. Classicnoob is up 2-0 in game number 3. But it's not all bad. Pika does still have a chance. If he drops down to the lower bracket, he can fight his way through. Or he can make the comeback start right here, right now, in game number 3. With a nice 3-0, he can reset things, advance into the next round, and send Classicnoob down to that lower bracket. Pika going airfield first, 2 games in a row. A little bit messy on the execution in that last game. However, in this case, we do also have a pretty far away oil derrick, so it's in certain ways easier for the Empire player to grab it. Although, did he actually send a dojo over there? He does have a dojo roaming around. Okay, yes. He can grab his opponent's oil derrick. Always nice if you're the Empire player. Mecha Bay did take a lot of damage. That's going to cost a couple of dollars to repair over time. MCV on the move. Not sticking around in his main base too long, but how far is this MCV moving out? We shall see. He's driving himself away from the third refinery. This might just be another turret push. We might be in for it. He's got the fully walled in airfield. He has got the Vindicators guarding him, and he did at least stop the dojo from fully crossing the map. Imperial Warriors have that slow but steady fire output where they can just damage this MCV as it's crossing the map. They're not choosing to engage at all, so even though there's like 10 Imperial Warriors running around, none of them are really landing shots doing that chip damage to the MCV. Vindicators do go for the bomb. Tengu's now going to try and trade out versus this Apollo, and the Apollo going to try and chase around that Tengu. He's almost got the kill, but the unit control makes it take a lot longer. Imperial Warriors finally going to be engaging on top of that MCV, down a first 25% of its HP before any turrets can come up. And then where do you place the turret? Do you try to defend that MCV on the south side, or do you try and place the turret towards your opponent's critical infrastructure? Either way, it's not going well for Pika, as the first turret is ready to go, and the MCV can't really do anything about it. He's going to be in low power mode if he's not careful. He's right on the edge there, as the MCV will go down, and that's the end of this turret push. So you better hope you can make it happen, but I think we know where this game is going, and the GG comes out. Pika will drop down to the lower bracket. Classicnoob advances on into the next round. And that sends us to Temple Prime Reloaded for Game 1 of a fresh best of 5. We've got ourselves on the left side, the Yellow Soviets. This is DarkFrom. And on the other side, with a real sci-fi name, this is EpsilonProselyte. What a name. Epsilon and DarkFrom. Very sci-fi fantasy sort of names. Maybe appropriate here for a competitive game, but we'll see with this Soviet v Soviet which one can advance forward and which one will fall to the lower bracket. Once again, very unfamiliar with these players, have never seen either one of them as far as I know, which is nice. We get to see a new crop of players here in Gathering Storm. Players that I've never seen before. Maybe they've been around for a long time, maybe they haven't, maybe they've accomplished much, maybe they haven't. We get to learn together, and as always, some of these names are difficult to discern, so I am relying on basically other people to tell me if a name needs correcting. I think I've adjusted a lot of the names to be players that I'm familiar with. For example, AE86 in the last series was Pika, at least as far as I know. So DarkFrom and EpsilonProselyte, if they are other names that I should swap them out, always just let me know. A couple of bears end up going down there as war factories are up for both players. Terror drones are out and roaming around. Sickle there as well for DarkFrom. And this is one of the few maps that has 7 refineries per player on it. So there is always an opportunity of a big eco boom. There is also a tech airport here in the south. Another very uncommon feature on the map. So we'll see if either one of those two things come into play. Of course, with a mirror matchup, economy can make bigger differences more quickly than asymmetrical matchups. Sometimes you end up seeing those little differences add up quite quickly. Terror Drone Micro coming in from both players. Hammer Tanks maybe a little bit faster to the front line for Epsilon, or for DarkFrom, so Epsilon has to make that up if he hasn't already gone Super Reactor. It looks like he opted for third refinery instead of Super Reactor, so the difference is coming up there. Tech versus Eco from these two players. We'll see if DarkFrom is able to make anything happen with his hammer tanks before his opponent can get to his own hammer tank tech. Sickle going to get shut down by that terror drone. Can't really have an opportunity to escape when he's that far away from a potential Crusher Crane repair. I don't even think DarkFrom has the Crusher Crane to be able to repair it. And there's going to be the shutdown. The Sickle will end up going down, but DarkFrom is pushed all the way across the map, so it kind of doesn't even matter that one Sickle goes down. So there's going to be the return of fire from the Sickles trying to jump on top of that terror drone, and the hammer tanks freed up a little bit here to go for the kill on the Sickles, but the terror drone keeping two of the hammer tanks locked down in position as the MCV moves in. The conscript gives his life to try and help the fight, but the terror drone cannot get a second kill. Hammer tank picks up the double weapon, and now the MCV is left abandoned against 5 hammer tanks, which you're never going to be able to crush if your opponent is paying attention. And there's going to be the infect with the terror drone. He gets the lockdown moments before Epsilon manages to save his MCV for the moment and snipe his opponent's terror drone as well. Hammer tanks have 2 targets to shoot at now, maybe even 3, as another hammer tank comes up to the front line. And Epsilon has done an incredible job of trying to hold this defense together against all odds. This terror drone working away at the hammer tank, finally getting him low on health. Another gun gets grabbed, but the terror drone is able to jump into another hammer tank, and the defense is now falling apart. The MCV, so low on health, will be sold off there as the Harvester has been cleaned up as well. Engineer not quite getting sniped, but he is a long way from being helpful. Double terror drone infect. Epsilon doing absolutely everything that he possibly can to hold off this attack. He's slowly whittling down those hammer tanks, but the faster hammer pressure has been too much for Epsilon to deal with. DarkFrom gets the first win in this series. The faster tech wins out over the faster eco. And that sends us to Deep Sea for game number 2. In the north, playing the blue Soviets, this is DarkFrom. Currently up 1-0, and in the south, rocking the purple Soviets. This is EpsilonProselyte. Getting pushed around in that first game, but we'll see how things work out on a different map. Deep Sea, gonna be a nice follow-up to Temple Prime Reloaded. So far, neither one of these players, at least in the first 2 games, are opting for a ultra-familiar map, one of the original 7 ladder maps. They're not going for, like, Infinity Isle, which sometimes you see after a player loses, they will go back to what is like the highest comfort pick. But in this case, either maps being preset beforehand by the ban system or being loser picks, Epsilon gets himself on to Deep Sea, and we'll see if he is able to have better luck here. Refinery into War Factory into Refinery for the Soviet player in the north, and it might have been double Refinery for the Soviet player in the south. He is base crawling his way towards a 3rd ref. Now, this did not work out in the previous game. The faster super reactor won out, but maybe the defense will be a little bit tighter. And he's also moving the MCV, so he's built the 2nd reactor, but he hasn't gone for the super reactor. And now anything that he would be building is delayed even further because the MCV is now on the move. So he's going to be stuck on this level of tech even longer. Last time we did see an MCV cell come out from DarkFrom. He's going for the barracks. He's got the super reactor up. He sold off. Did he really? He sold off the original reactor. So this is a, like, scorched earth almost, but like on yourself, where you are cutting yourself down to the bare essentials. He's got 2 refineries, well, he's got 2 refineries, war factory, barracks, and then his super reactor. He sells off his MCV, he frees up that engineer, and now he's got even a Tesla trooper heading to the front line. This is lots of sickles, a couple of terror drones here as well. DarkFrom gets infected, but he crushes through the front line. Bear's not going to be doing a lot to help out Epsilon in this case, and the third refinery is not up. It is not on the way. The reactor is also not here. Where's the super reactor? This is a pure sickle army for the current moment. He's got a couple of terror drones mixed in as well. There's going to be the sickles jumping over top of this army, and one hammer tank does get infected. The MCV is a lot more protected in this case than it was in that previous game. The MCV can take a little bit of damage and then back on up from the front line. And there's actually going to be the gun steal as well from DarkFrom, so he gets a little bit of value out of that second hammer tank, but things are not looking quite so rosy. I am very worried about the fact that Epsilon does not have a super reactor, on the way, and just lost quite a few of his sickles. He does at least have 3 terror drones. He has maintained his terror drone numbers, and I did not actually keep track of the engineer, where the engineer went after the MCV got sold off. Oh, he's all the way back in the main base. So in the previous game, he did manage to grab that oil derrick from his opponent. Hammer tanks pushing forward, sickles being held in place. One terror drone on the side of DarkFrom, and now he's got the sickle jump to clean up the other terror drone. Snipes 2, gets infected by the last one, and now the MCV is powered down as well. Double lockdown on this MCV, infected by a terror drone with no crusher crane, and the GG comes out. DarkFrom with a very aggressive non-stop push. He gets himself well set up for what he wants to do, and then he only moves forward. Those first 2-3 minutes, he is on like full build-up mode, and then as soon as he moves out, there is no looking back. And Game 3 will send us on to Epicenter Island, the darkest map in the world. As we have on the left side, rocking the green, up 2-0. This is DarkFrom. He's gone for MCV cells 2 games in a row. Can he make it 3 for 3? On the right side, he is now down against the wall. He has got to win 3 in a row. No more mistakes. This is Epsilon. Still rocking the purple, rocking the Soviets. We get ourselves a full Soviet mirror matchup, 3 games in a row. We might even go for a full 5 as well. And we've got ourselves potentially just a pattern forming. Not a slow, not a super aggressive start, not a big, crazy all-in, but a slow build in one particular direction that just doesn't seem to ever stop. DarkFrom, when he gets rolling with this build, he cannot be stopped. Now, on Deep Sea, you do have that path through the middle of the map. In this one, you do have an escape out the side. You do also have a potential escape out to the water. So that's someplace that hammer tanks can't go. And okay, we've got the same sort of opening, and this time Epsilon is going to match it. It is super reactor versus super reactor, and then maybe he goes for a third after that. The high ground third is your natural, but you can take one of these outer water refineries instead. And in the case of a water refinery, as long as you can deal with the terror drones, it is completely safe from hammer tanks and sickles, the normal stuff that DarkFrom has been going for. And okay, DarkFrom is mixing it up. His MCV is on the move. Does he spot exactly what his opponent is going for? And both players are going for the high ground natural expansion. So it is a true mirror matchup this time. Last time we had our mirror matchup, but our difference of builds. This time, they are just about in lockstep with each other. The timings are all slightly different, but things are very matched between them in all the ways that matter. Third refinery a little bit slower here for Epsilon, so we'll see if that ends up causing any problems. Nice 10, 20, maybe 30-second delay. Hammer tank on the front line for both players. 2 hammer tanks now from Epsilon. I have to imagine there's a second hammer tank either soon. Yeah, there isn't another hammer tank out just yet. And a Tesla coil coming up. So this is a true divergence from what we saw previously. The MCB has not been sold off at all. The Tesla coil does end up getting canceled, and there's going to be the jump away by that sickle. Gets himself out and away. And then a scouting bear coming through for DarkFrom. So he is going to get eyes on what his opponent is doing. MCV even packs up again. So DarkFrom, he doesn't even just go for the third refinery on the high ground and then immediately sell off his MCV. He's going airfield. He is fully mixing things up. And yet again, in the same sort of way, DarkFrom keeps to himself. He has not really, and we're back from the desync. Hopefully everything is fixed up, as we do not have the desync banner in the same spot this time, at least. Airfield back up for both players. So this is the furthest we've ever progressed down the tech tree with these two guys. Mig's going to be coming in, popping a couple of shots at those twin blades. DarkFrom, I think I was starting to say something about he stays on his part of the map until he's ready to go, and then he goes. And so far, we're seeing a similar kind of thing. He is sticking to himself. He is not moving out, not sending terror drones, sickles to the other side of the map, not trying to come up with some kind of harass, but we do have him sticking to himself, staying inside his base until he is ready, and then he goes aggressive. Fourth refinery coming up for both players a bit faster this time from Mr. Epsilon, so he will have that potential slight advantage, but considering that his third was slower, I don't know how much that's really going to be making a difference. He does have those fourth refinery, the fourth harvester up and working, and we'll see if he's able to hold off this attack. One harvester up, he might be about to lose a harvester, as DarkFrom has lost his own harvester on the other side of the map, and now it's hammer tank versus hammer tanks, as Twin Blade does end up going down. Bullfrogs making their way onto the front line, and the sickle will jump in as well. Hammer tanks trying to leech weapons from each other, trying to gain a bit of an advantage in this fight, and Epsilon's front line kind of just falls apart here as the hammer tanks from DarkFrom push further forward. His economy is recovering, but his army is dominating on the front line, and he gets one for free. The hammer tank on the front line comes out and gets smashed. Mig will snipe the Twin Blade, but what do you have to deal with the hammer tank army that's destroying everything else? Satellites called in on both sides, but another hammer tank caught and killed. DarkFrom's army is just dominating in a way that cannot be stopped. Another hammer tank comes on out. Crusher Crane will end up going down. Didn't get a lot of value for it, and now the War Factory is fully surrounded. Two hammer tanks going to try and re-engage. A third one shows up just in time to get locked down yet again by DarkFrom. The army engagements have just been disastrous for Epsilon. The tools look the same at the start, but the higher count of hammer tanks ends up winning the day. 3 out of 3 games here for DarkFrom. He has prioritized hammer tanks, and he has prioritized them a lot better than his opponent. Unfortunately for Epsilon, he is sticking in this game. He's going to try and fight it out. Does he have some kind of sneaky way to get himself back in this game? I mean, he is out on the water, so to some degree he can just rebuild out of range of the hammer tanks. And that is a refinery out there, so he can stay out there forever. But I have to imagine, okay, there's the GG coming out. DarkFrom will advance on into the next round, and Epsilon will drop down to the lower bracket. And welcome to a fresh new best of 5, but we're sticking with Epicenter Island here in game number 1 of another Soviet mirror matchup. We get it twice in a row. On the left side, this is Akira. And on the right side, as the blue Soviets, this is Harlen. Currently on a streak, just dominating for the most part every opponent that he meets. Akira may be a different challenge. Once again, a player I'm unfamiliar with. Harlen we've seen in the past. We've seen Harlen versus Demon. We've seen Harlen versus other players as well over the years. Akira, no idea who this individual is. We shall see how well they do versus Harlen. Bears getting cleaned up. Roars come in. And, well, a slight win there for Akira, but not enough to make a big difference here in the opening. Double refinery into War Factory, it looks like, for both players. Akira, maybe a slight delay there. A lot more bears from Akira, and the conscripts will be the follow-up. So this is a good number of conscripts following this push. The bears clear the way, and then the conscripts clear everything else out. And the bears actually camping on top of these buildings, so either the Molotov cocktails take out the conscripts, or the bears do. It's a guaranteed knockdown on those conscripts, one way or the other. Sickles moving out. Harlen has gone for that War Factory into the double reactor, into the expansion. So it looks like Akira is doing the same thing. Did start a super reactor and then canceled it. So we do have a change of mind from Akira. Middle of the map being fought over a bit more in this game than we see in most Epicenter Island games. Most players just avoid the middle of the map and hope for the best. Refineries at the third base coming up. Both players getting their natural expansion up and running before their super reactors. So this Sickle Terror Drone army is what we're going to be seeing from both players. Decent bit more infantry on the side of Akira. Maybe that'll mean a faster refinery for Harlen. We'll see. But Sickle's going to be jumping in. This is 3 Sickles on the front line for Harlen. One of them getting infected, but will try to disrupt those conscript front lines. And this other Sickle getting fully destroyed, fully surrounded and destroyed, as Harlen does manage to push back Akira for the current moment. But these early skirmishes, I don't think, are going to be enough to really spell the doom of either player. Harlen moving out to the water. This has to be a... Whoa, 4 refineries, no super reactor for Harlen. Cashback does get called in by Akira, so we will be potentially getting a refund on some of these units of Harlen, or maybe Harlen is self-imposing that cashback on his own units to get a bit of value if they die. Harvester now going to be getting shut down, puts the shields up early, and now we do have the super reactor done nicely for Akira. Harlen keeping the pressure on Akira, so that will be a terror drone getting killed off on the side of Akira as Harlen keeps up the pressure, despite the fact that he's also expanding behind this. He is somehow running rings around this hammer tank player. The faster tech is not working out here. The hammer tank gets infected immediately, and now the Sickle will eventually be shut down, but that's a GG. Akira just falls apart. The Sickle pressure from Harlen is too much. And that'll send us to Temple Prime Reloaded for another Soviet mirror between Harlen and Akira. Harlen rocking that big eco game on that last map, but here he can do it even better. There are 7 refineries available per player. Bear keeping Bear away, at least for the current moment. The engineer will be able to make it to the oil derrick in time. The Bear is going to get close, but not close enough to be worried. Although maybe not if he doesn't actually send the engineer into the oil derrick. He is just controlling his bears elsewhere, getting a little bit caught up in that movement rather than sending the engineer into the oil derrick. A little bit of a missed opportunity and a bit of a mistake there from Akira as well, who sends his engineer up to the high ground. It gets rallied accidentally with all of the other units. and it is going to be refinery after war factory, whereas on the Akira side, it is going to be that war factory after refinery. But they're both finishing up around the same time. So Sickle and a Terror Drone already out for Harlen by the time the War Factory finishes for Akira. And both players did manage to grab their oil derricks. But I'm mostly interested in how Harlen is going to choose to play this one, because in that last game he was going big eco right from the beginning, and in this game he might be doing the same thing again. No super reactor out on the water or anything like that. He does appear to be heading north for the double refinery location up here. So he's going to be getting a quick 3 and 4 refineries potentially, and he's just trusting his unit control with these sickles, with this limited range of units. Oh, it's an MCV cell as well from our red Akira. This is maximum eco versus basically minimum eco. 2 refineries, MCV cell. Did he actually do the thing where he also sells off his reactor? No, he didn't sell off the reactor. He also didn't build the barracks, so it is full just war factory units. It is no mixing it up as well, no mixing it up a little bit, no airfield, no naval yard, no barracks, just war factory units for the rest of the game. Now, of course, he technically can rebuild that MCV if he really wants to, but I'd be very surprised if he has the time and space and interest in rebuilding his MCV from this point forward. Low power mode briefly here for Harlen because he did not build a second reactor. He opted instead to go for the refinery into the super reactor. So it is going to be slow building. It is going to have limited production for a little while, and this engineer heading along the water route will be able to grab that oil derrick as long as he has not been spotted. And while Harlen may or may not suspect that this has happened, he has not gotten a positive scout on it, so he does not know absolute guarantee of what his opponent is doing, but again, he may indeed suspect it. Bullfrog gets infected, so I guess that's going to be an easy kill for Harlen, but of course Harlen currently doesn't have any air units, so that Bullfrog isn't doing anything anyways. Terror Drone ends up going down, Sickle goes for the jump, Hammer Tanks are 3-1. You'd think that would mean it was a big advantage for Akira, but it's not actually turning out that way. Harlen trading well for this first couple of units, will manage to steal the gun back immediately from Akira. Akira had the double barrel hammer tank for just a brief moment, and now this Tesla coil has nearly gotten up. It's not actually done just yet, and the Sickle will go for the harass on the other side of the map. Akira did manage to grab the oil derrick, and this Tesla coil position will keep these units safe for now. There's going to be the barracks to try and block off this leech beam angle. And hey, you can leech beam the barracks, but that's not really the high value target. And now Akira has found himself in an awkward situation. He's got the double oil derrick, he's got the double ore refinery, but he doesn't have an easy way to crack this base. 5 hammer tanks now going to be moving in, 1 terror drone here as well, 3 hammer tanks, and I guess Harlen is just going to have to let this refinery go. He does have those water expansions to potentially work off of, and these 2 terror drones are locking down the hammer tank in the north, but he doesn't have any firepower up there to actually deal with Harlen's army just yet. Harlen taking a lot of pressure. I expected that he would have something up his sleeve to deal with this at this point. He is worried about air units. He does not realize at all that his opponent sold off the MCV. He thinks this is going to be a very different fight than it is. And the hammer tank's moving in. Akira may have lost game number 1, but he is striking back here in game number 2. The MCV cell all in seems to be working, but he hasn't gotten the critical kill just yet. 4 hammer tanks rolling up, and without an additional block, they will slowly leech away this war factory's HP. There is going to be the barracks coming in. There is going to be the wall coming in as well. Harlen has this one safe angle to engage with. As long as he has this Tesla coil at his back, he can trade against the opponent's superior numbers quite well. Akira hasn't knocked Harlen down just yet, but Harlen is trapped in the corner here. And without... Oh, he does! He rebuilds the MCV! So now the flak cannon that was coming up may actually be needed as Akira gets out the MCV and now is going to... He is actually going airfield. He's not going for a third refinery. He's happy to play on the 2 refineries that he's got, plus the 2 oil derricks. He has corralled Harlen into this position. Crusher crane coming up. This could be for an MCV crush as well, and he's going to have to get a refund on this ore collector. He could potentially drop off that load of ore, get a little bit of cash for that, and then get the cash back on the ore collector. I think that would be the way to maximize the efficiency, or something like that. But at any rate, oh, Terror Drone actually gets the infect on the ore collector out on the water, the one that was not being paid attention to, the one that was not being defended against. And, well, he will slowly but surely make his way over. Harlen, realizing he lost the oil derrick, realizing he is in a very precarious situation in this game, will have a new trouble to deal with. Akira, it feels like, just playing this very carefully, very controlled. Maybe the first couple of minutes of the game were up to anyone, but after that MCV cell and this push started to turn around, Akira actually had it. Man, actually that first engagement also didn't go Akira's way. Harlen sort of read the play very well, but then Akira was able to still turn something around out of it. Satellites coming in. Will he actually get any tanks? This could be a big kill on a bunch of Harlen's army if he manages to get it. Gets himself 2 hammer tanks in this engagement, but Harlen still has 4 on the front line. He's overwhelming the forces of Akira, and there's the twin blade. It showed up so late in this fight, but it doesn't matter. Harlen taps out, and Akira puts a point on the board. We have got ourselves a 1-1 in this best of 5. The Bears meet in the middle here on Battle Base Beta. They will not get the first big roar off, but in the north, playing the green, this is Harlen. Win-loss. But can the wins continue for the Cyan Soviet in the south? This is Akira. Akira versus Harlen, the Soviet mirror we didn't know we needed. And hey, if these games continue, I am excited to see a new challenger face Harlen. Maybe take some games, give us some more Soviet action in this series. The ore refinery now going to be coming up. War Factory will be after that for Akira. So there's the War Factory already done for Harlen, very similar to that previous game as well. Trying to go for the big eco play didn't work out in game number 2 for Harlen. He did very much misread the situation that he was in with his opponent. He thought one thing had happened when, in fact, something else entirely had happened. And now the Bears will be getting shut down. A little bit costly here for Akira, and Harlen going to try and clear out the middle of the map. He's got the sickle to help anchor this army, to help deal with his opponent's Bears and conscripts, but that's a full line of conscripts wielding Molotov cocktails that are going to get cut down. Terror Drone does get the lockdown, and these Molotov cocktails are slowly but surely going to crush that sickle. Cash back there for one of these players, and Akira will get a little bit of cash into his pocket for killing his opponent's sickle. War Factory on the front line. Barracks has been sold off. The barracks coming up there for, wow, fast super reactor from Harlen. So we could also go for an MCV cell after this. We'll see what he decides to do. Did he sell off his reactor? Because it sure looks like he's sold off his reactor. He's building a barracks. We saw this from from Dark... What was that guy's name? Dark whatever. In the last series. I keep wanting to call him Dark Flow, but I feel like Dark Form! Dark Form. It wasn't Flow, it was Form. Okay, so he doesn't sell off the MCV, at least not just yet. He did get the barracks. He did sell off that reactor as well. And there we go. We've got ourselves the sickles moving forward. That's a lot of sickles all jumping in at the same time, one after the other in a neatly ordered line. As the Terror Drone goes down, and HammerTank's going to have to turn back around. Akira going up to the high ground with his own MCV, maybe aiming for that third refinery. He deploys it right there, so he is planning to get himself a third ref up and running. This attack is not the end of all things, and the sickles, they're exploding one after the other as the forces of Akira have mostly been cleaned up, and that is a fully heroic conscript there, perhaps getting all the credit from the kill on that sickle earlier. And now the Terror Drone will end up going down. No infect for that Terror Drone, won't be able to get a free kill as he exits this mortal realm. Super Reactor coming up. He did start the refinery and then cancel it, so a little bit unfortunate there. And oh, Harlen in a terrible situation, leads to the front line with his MCV, gets caught, and now he has a very difficult decision to make. He has no barracks, he has no way to follow up, and he is just going to go all out, all in pressure, full court press. Let's go, let's go, let's go. He actually has a decent amount of stuff here with the fact that the MCV is basically now in suicide mode. He's just going to try to crush whatever comes out of this war factory, I have to assume, and then leave the hammer tanks free to deal with everything else. Tesla coil coming up, but it has no defense around it right now. The sickle is going to get shut down, and the MCV is just waiting outside of this war factory. He can't even put it on a patrol path right in front of that war factory to automatically crush everything. Harlen a little bit unsure about what target he wants to go for. He was trying to kill the super reactor to stop the Tesla coil from building, but okay, he goes for the airfield. That's a good last-ditch attempt there from Akira. It may end up working. No, he just taps out. He doesn't have the time. He could have... Oh man, the bullfrog was already there. I didn't see the bullfrog from Harlen, but Akira, if he had gotten that airfield up a bit sooner, then maybe he could have shut that attack down. Getting your opponent's MCV when it's packed up and on the move with the Terror Drone can sometimes just be a game-winning move on its own, but here, it did not help. Harlen goes up 2-1. And that sends us on to Deep Sea for game number 4 in this series. In the north, rocking the red, this is Harlen. On the south side, with an almost game-winning move that didn't work out, this is Akira. Akira versus Harlen. They're going at it. I can't believe that MCV, in fact, just did not turn out. The Tesla coil didn't work out. The airfield didn't work out. Nothing really worked out there for Akira. Tried to start up that third refinery on the high ground. That didn't work out. Had to cancel it. Had to go for the super reactor. And with that bullfrog there on the front line, Harlen covering his bases against Akira's comeback, just ended up being the end. There's the war factory coming up for both players. It's a little bit of a swap here as Akira goes for the war factory first. Second refinery going to be slightly later. Both players swapping builds from that previous game. Okay, super reactor is the next move for Harlen. Could end up being very similar. Akira gets the Terror Drone, gets the sickle advantage with a little bit of a faster war factory, although it looks like he just built one Terror Drone and then that was it. So, a little bit more cash on hand. Hasn't sold off his barracks yet. Ooh, goes Engineer as well. I did not realize that oil derrick was not captured. That's not a sneaky engineer. That's not a funny engineer. That's a very, very late oil derrick capture for that engineer. Oopsie. But that is how things go sometimes. Akira moving towards that third refinery location. Harlen doing the same. Bears going to be trading out against each other, and the sickle going to try and get a little bit of cash back. Akira Loving the cash back bounty. He will be able to cash it in on that on his own sickle as well. So he gets paid on the bear, gets paid on the sickle also. Akira trying to keep his economy afloat by recycling his own units. Bear comes in for the scout, barely alive as well for Harlen. Will get a full read on whatever he wants to see inside of his opponent's base. He can see anything that he wants. And the faster super reactor from Harlen means that he's got hammer tanks out on the front line. Terror drone will be able to get the lockdown on one hammer tank, but there's 2, 3 hammer tanks here, so you better have a terror drone ready to go. And he does indeed. One of them gets infected there, and this hammer tank is just going to delay that terror drone as long as possible. Third refinery not up just yet. Second terror drone infect comes in, so this is now going to be a Crusher Crane angle for Harlen, and with the leech beam on, oh no, he didn't actually switch this other guy into leech mode, so he's just shooting the building, which is not helping anything, as Harlen will, looks like, lose one hammer tank to that terror drone because of his own misclick there. And then the terror drone will get an infect over here. What is Harlen doing with his sickle in his opponent's base? I thought that was still the bear, but no, it's a sickle, as one terror drone gets cleaned out, and this game getting a little bit messy from all three of us, as the ore refinery now going to be coming up from Harlen, barracks coming up from Akira. No third ref just yet. Super reactor nice and online, and I guess sells off the reactor as well because it's an MCV sell. There we go. And engineer immediately into the building. I don't know if he thought maybe there was going to be danger nearby, but he wanted to hide the engineer at the very least. And I think Harlen may actually spot the remains of this MCV as well, so he may know exactly what is up. Crusher Crane did get a nice refund there for Harlen, it looks like. I'm going to guess that Harlen refunded his MCV, especially if we don't see it anywhere else. And the Crusher Crane can, of course, keep the build queue going, so that is a airfield on the way. A bit of a different play from both of these players. The result is somewhat the same. Your MCV goes bye-bye, but Harlen gets to keep his build queue and gets a little bit more cash back as well from the crane rather than just the sell-off. Hammer tanks just need to hold the line, and as soon as that first twin blade shows up, it's basically going to be lights out for Akira. He has no idea that this is coming. He is just fighting the army straight up, and it doesn't even matter. Harlen didn't need to win there. He just needed to hold the line, and he wins anyways because he pushes forward, and he pushes Akira down into the lower bracket. And yeah, we may have another Soviet player in this next series, but we are on the old faithful Infinity Isle here for game number 1. We finally got to it. We get to see it. I'm okay with not seeing it, but here we've got it on game number 1. And yeah, we've got one Soviet player, but we've also got an Empire player. So we're mixing up the matchup now here in our next series. This is the Red Empire. This is On the Planet. And on the other side, the purple bears that you've been watching run around canceling his reactor, his refinery, excuse me. This is Error, which is apparently his name. On the Planet and Error. Maybe we can get Ancient City and On the Planet to get together. We can get a couple of other location-based names and have a big 4-player match with all of the location-based individuals teaming up. Have some planet guys, have some city guys, maybe a like continent guy, or a zip code or a county guy, but or maybe we go the other way, solar system guy. On the Planet, going to be moving forward with his MCV. He does have this reactor back here, so I thought maybe he was going to go for the quick base crawl to the 3rd refinery there on the water, but instead packs up his MCV, heads to the high ground, can still do the base crawl out towards that 3rd, always an option for him. But at the very least, he is going to be positioned on that high ground. Are we going to see some walls coming up? We've got one segment, but he hasn't fully committed to the wall swag build just yet. He is indeed waiting for a moment as his harassment continues. Gets the kill on the sickle. Okay. Gets that sickle, but does not get the kill on the harvester. Although, no, the harvester goes back to work, takes the shields off, and the Tengu comes back in immediately to harass it again, slowing down that harvester for just a little bit. No kill on the harvester, but does deny the mining a little bit. Bear not able to delay that refinery from coming up. So third ref on the way for both players. Already up and running for the Soviet side of things, and a crusher crane going to be the addition back in the main base. Mecha Bay up to tier 2, and no super reactor just yet, I don't think, from our Soviet player. He did go for the crusher crane, so we can get a super reactor up potentially. Bullfrog does pop out. Chopper VX doesn't manage to get a lot of rockets off before that Bullfrog shows up, and that crusher crane is going to keep that harvester back up to full health in no time. Super reactor on the way. Bullfrog's out to help hold the line. Sickles as well. And soon the hammer tank will be on the way, but it's not ready just yet, although it may be. That may be it right there. We'll see. Tengu's down onto the low ground. Terror drones moving out. And there's the Tengu's going for the transform. Terror drone gets sniped by the Imperial Warrior, and the MCV is positioned for a full 5 refinery game from our Soviet player. If he ever gets enough cash to finish up that super reactor, which has kept him in low power mode basically this entire time, he's got himself back online now. And there's going to be some more bullfrogs coming on out. Terror drone goes down. Harvester is saved, but the flak trooper goes down. Another harvester off the line. No fourth refinery on the way just yet for our Soviet player. So every time these harvesters are off the line, it's a bit of an advantage for our Empire player. Although the harvesters haven't been off the line for so long that it's been a big deal. Cashback does happen there as one harvester goes down. A second one is here to replace it almost as quickly as it got eliminated. Chopper VX gets sniped, doesn't manage to get the kill on the crusher crane, but the airfield will be delayed by these Tengus. Although it's not really delayed, it's just going to cost a little bit more to repair it and build it at the same time. So a bit unfortunate for the Soviet player. He will need to get some units out there to save this airfield. Otherwise, eventually, those Tengus will knock it down. Not sure that 2 bullfrogs are going to be able to do much, but in that very awkward position, the hammer tanks can't really leech down those Tengus to force them away, and he doesn't have a sentry gun or anything. He's really just hoping that this twin blade can finish up, but he's also having to repair the airfield. So now the twin blade is here. The bullfrogs get called away, so the twin blade just goes down, and the Tengus manage to get an extra kill, but at least they're no longer attacking the airfield. The Soviet defense falling to pieces, and his hammer tank going to be slow to respond up to that high ground to deal with the Tengu. He had to drive a very long distance. The bullfrogs get a couple of shots off, but not before the return fire comes from the transforming Tengus, who are once again harassing this airfield. This Empire attack just seems to not have an answer. Error has perhaps stretched himself a bit too thin, a few too many things on the menu, and he finds himself unable to keep them all rolling. Harvester goes down, hammer tank coming back over, naval yard being deployed at the same time. He didn't even get these units out of his base, but he was building more infrastructure, and now the hammer tank will go down. Bye-bye to that. Bullfrogs can get chased away by these Tengus, and this is just basically a complete shutdown. This Tesla coil will eventually maybe chase away these Tengus. I guess the terror drone will also help fight this off, but the Tengus in the base continue to roam around unchecked. And yeah, maybe this Tesla coil gets up, but this has been a very costly expansion for the Soviet player. And this is not even a particularly well-executed attack by the Empire player. He is going to be able to jump on this hammer tank, deal with that. We don't have a lot of... So, he gets the cash back, actually. So, he gets cash back on everything. He's at least got a little bit of cash in the bank, but now he has no units to try and keep himself in this match. And he's called in the cash supply bounty. He's getting that cashback rebate, but that is not going to really help him win the game normally. He still needs some actual units to do something out on this map. Tesla coil goes down. Flak cannon will replace it, and it is just not going well for the Soviet side of the map. I'm not exactly sure why this Tengu VX is the only unit comp that On the Planet is going for. It feels like a couple of tsunami tanks could help anchor this build and, you know, knock down the front door sort of thing, but he's doing okay. He's still managing to keep the harassment going. He's still managing to somewhat suppress his opponent's economy. It is just the 3 refineries. He has killed off the oil derrick, which is a nice strike there for the Empire player, managing to get a couple of kills, and he has a whole lot of tank busters, which do end up getting spotted by that bear, but knowing that an attack is coming and being able to stop it are 2 very different things. And now he's down to just 2 harvesters. A bit of an unfortunate situation for a player who wants to be on 4 refineries to only have like 1 working harvester at the current moment. I don't even know that you need to fight out here on the water. I'm not sure how much value he's getting out of trying to kill off this refinery. There might be higher value targets that he can hit elsewhere. Hammer tank will eventually go down. Striker gets the kill there. MCV now gonna go for the crush as well. Where was that striker that was like over top of this MCV not attacking it? This Empire attack feels like it has done everything, and yet the Soviet player is still here, still hanging around in the game, hoping that... Oh, the Tesla coil didn't actually finish, so now the refinery does go down. Those Tengus unchecked. And satellites, or is it the toxin drop? Because the toxin drop will just clear this out instantly as the Badger bomber comes down, and a nice cashback bounty for the Soviet player as well. That was actually kind of great, just on that one bear locking down all of those tank busters, and he gets the cash back as well. The crane is coming back up. He's still fighting this one out. Error should be like in the dumps, it feels like. I guess he's just been rotating these harvesters around just enough, keeping things online just enough, and the Empire player has not progressed the tech any further. It does also feel like if he had a couple of tsunami tanks, he could actually queue a move into his opponent's base and win the game. But these Tengus, of course, if they're in the sky, they can't do anything against the ground. And similarly, the Chopper VXs, if they're on the ground, if they're not in chopper mode, then they can't do anything against the ground. And the MCV now getting caught. This is 4 or 5 Chopper VXs, which will make quick work of that MCV. And goodbye to the MCV. So that is at least eliminated one of the variables here. Error is still sticking around in this game, which does feel... I'm not sure what his plan is. He does have a naval yard, so he could rebuild even if he ends up losing that war factory. And, well, it's not going to be around for too much longer. The bear helping to guard that conscript, and these strikers just ranking further and further up. One of them has already gone fully heroic. He's got his star, and the Terror drone goes for the infect. They're just ranking up more and more veterancy on these units. Another hammer tank comes out. I'm not sure what the plan is here. The strikers back off. I mean, he has enough strikers that he could try to suicide on the bullfrogs, and he would probably still be fine. Even if he lost all of his strikers, he would probably have enough time to rebuild something before the hammer tanks showed up. But he also hasn't gone for a 4th refinery, which I did expect that he would get at some point, but he's sitting on this 3 refinery plus the oil derrick, and he's just happy to sit right in that position. Still no tsunami tanks. He wants that transformer army. He does not want the option to just have something on the ground. This is now so many Chopper VXs that he can almost chase this army indefinitely. There's also a flak cannon here, so it will be a costly attack, but it doesn't matter. If you end the game, you can be as costly as you want. The hammer tank grabbed a bullfrog cannon for just a moment there, but it doesn't matter as On the Planet gets the first win of this series. On the Planet wins with his Transformer army. Even when he tried to go for a bunch of infantry, it just backfired on him. Error was able to keep himself in this game for quite a bit longer, and now he's going for the crane. He's got himself a Crusher Crane opener. Was also starting an additional base defense. He's going Sentry Gun. Okay, so he wants a little bit of defense for this location, putting up some walls as well. Barracks comes out. He gets his engineer onto the field. This dojo timing is almost close enough to have crushed that engineer because the engineer was a little bit late. But the engineer will jump inside of that oil derrick. And depending on how familiar these players are with each other, this may read as something a little bit odd. But the burst drone now sees what happened. This was a different kind of an opening. We do also have the super reactor way over here on the far side of the base. Low power mode for just a moment here for error. But you could say it's not an error being on low power. It is a calculated risk here as the oil derrick is about to be recaptured, this time by the Empire player, who also has low power for just a moment here as his next power plant is on the way. Tengu out on the field. Dojo could be sold off. He's not really producing anything with it. Ooh, the timing on the bear is going to be close. The engineer is almost out. And oh, the Imperial Warrior does not get the kill. The engineer goes down. Oh, no. And the bear finally gets eliminated. But he gets the kill that matters. He stops the engineer. And now there is probably a second engineer on the way. Burst drone will stay on top of this MCV. It is not a Tesla coil push, which is what I thought we were going to be seeing initially, but instead, airfield on top of this refinery, and then potentially a fourth refinery coming up very quickly as well. Oil derrick does manage to get captured. Finally, Bear was not able to stop it the second time, so now the Empire player does have himself 2 oil derricks, and he's about to have 3 ore refineries as well. A little bit late, but, you know, the oil derrick will help make up for that. And we'll see how fast this 4th ore refinery is actually from the Soviet player. What a weird opening here for game number 2 between these two players. And that first game didn't exactly go how I expected. I do wonder if we're going to see another Transformers build where it's just Tengus and VXs, no Wave Force artillery. I mean, he had plenty of time to potentially go up to a tier 3 there. He could have tried to go for a 4th refinery as well, and he just didn't. He wanted to stick with the Transformers. He didn't even build tsunami tanks. He didn't go naval yard, nothing to really mix things up. And we could just see that again. All right, 4th refinery is up and running. He's gotten what he wanted, other than losing the oil derrick, which he probably didn't want. Error has got to open precisely how he wanted, and now we get to see if it's actually going to be working out. Dojo starting to pump out some tank busters. They're slowly crossing the map. Conscripts and bears can deal with these pretty easily. I think he was trying to go for this building. Did not actually get there. Tengu will now be able to clean out this bear, hopefully kind of free up those tank busters. That's 3 dead Tengus as these MiGs find a great angle on engagement and manage to clean out those Tengus easily. Flak cannon has now deployed. Conscript only gets 1 Molotov cocktail out, so he doesn't actually clear out the building, but walls can be deployed to delay this attack a bit longer, and a couple of more conscripts can come out to eventually defeat these tank busters. But for the current moment, they're putting out a little bit of damage. They're managing to get a little bit of work done. As the Twin Blade shows up, the MiGs were a little bit too slow to actually take advantage of the transform of the Tengus, and now this is a lot of Tengus. They get the snipe on that Twin Blade, and now they're going to try to engage directly on top of these MiGs. The MiGs fire off a couple of shots, and then they run for the hills. Third refinery up and running for the Empire player, and he has not taken a bit of harassment. That one twin blade, which was a potential for harassment, just gets sniped. Basically, 10 seconds after getting build something like that, he just dies very quickly. And okay, flat cannon Tesla coil. I missed that the MCV had already packed up and moved. It's not a Tesla coil rush, but it is a Tesla coil push. Migs managed to find an angle with the help of this flat cannon to get a couple of kills here. You're happy to trade out 1 or 2 Migs if you can thin out this Tengu herd by a bit. There's not a lot of space for defense here on this location. Ooh, low power mode. You got to sell off the... I assume you got to sell off this sentry gun, but no, he's actually going to build another reactor. Instead of selling off the sentry gun, he's going to get the reactor up and running, and maybe sold off something somewhere else to get it up and running. Keeps the flat cannon. Tesla coil on the low ground, going to be shutting down that expansion location. And, well, the Empire attempts haven't worked out just yet, but the refinery does end up going down. Naval Yard now being added on, just checking all of the boxes, managing to get anything and everything that you might need to win a game. He's just getting everything up and running. Is he going to go for the transform to try and take advantage of this moment? He snipes 2 MiGs on the deck there, and the other ones will be dealt with by these Tengus. Point defense drones change the equation of who wins these dogfights, and in this case, it is the Tengus winning in the sky and on the ground as well. Harvester running for the hills will be able to crush himself down, and well, the sentry gun will eventually go down. If he kills off the Tengus, they'll just do that damage to him as well. The sentry gun taking a lot of damage, but the MCV is on the move once again. Stingrays coming out, bullfrogs coming out. These Tengus still harassing the Soviet base. And now Tesla coil coming up. It's a little bit too late, but this Stingray will buy a bit of time. Kills off 1 Tengu. Can he get a second one before he falls? He does manage to kill off 2, but now the Harvesters are also being harassed. The MCV pushing to the other side of the map doesn't feel like it's fast enough. Although a twin blade is here, it's going to force the transform of these Tengus. No, they're staying on the ground to get the kill on this Crusher Crane. 1 stays on the ground and the rest go into the sky. The transform happens. The Crusher Crane survives. Oh, the last crash down kills the Crusher Crane, but it had completed its job. It had done what was needed. It held the line, and now Error is actually still in this game. That almost went so badly for him, but now it actually feels like he's doing okay. He has killed so many of the Tengus that were produced early on by this Empire player. On the Planet bled out so much in the last minute of that fight. It looked like it was going great for On the Planet, and then he stuck around too long and things turned around. Flat cannon now going to be targeted. I'm not sure that this MCV can escape this position, but he has bought a ton of time to do something on the other side of the map. I'm not sure what he's going to do, but he's got a 4 refinery base to work from. He's trying to stick around in this position. He brings over MiGs. He adds a naval yard as well. I thought he was going to abandon ship and give up this location, but no, he actually finds a kill onto a striker. He has slowed down the damage output of this army by so much by forcing the strikers onto the ground. The MiGs bought so much time, and now the flat cannon is here as well. The MiG will give its life away somewhat by accident as the flat cannon snipes another striker, and those VXs just have not done as much as they should have. Whatever's coming out of that naval yard needs to get here quick. Tesla coil will finish up. I think this reactor can be canceled to try and get a little bit more cash in the bank to deal with these attacking units. Tengu is going to be giving a little bit more chase, but the tank busters are no longer in range of that MCV. This might actually be working. I'm not sure that this would work against a lot of other competitive Empire players, but it's working here on Battle Base Beta. This is just going in so many bizarre directions that I did not expect. And now this Konyard, so low on health, but still around. He's got a second Tesla coil coming up as well. And if he gets in range of that Mecha Bay, it's just about lights out for the Empire player. A Tier 2 Mecha Bay would be very difficult to replace at this point in the game. It puts a huge suppression on the army. If he is able to do some big damage with the, I don't know, 8 units he's got flying around, 7 units? Yeah, the 7 units he's got flying around. If he's able to do some big damage with them, then okay, he can stay in this game. But this Tesla coil on the low ground, barely in range of that Mecha Bay. If the Mecha Bay was placed a little bit further inland, it would not have been that kind of a problem. MiGs getting sniped, Bullfrogs trading their lives, and the 2 strikers do survive. Those VXs will be able to kill everything on the ground. Another airfield is coming up, so I think it's going to be 2 MiGs at the same time for a couple of moments here, but at least the naval yard will go down. Striker's not able to transform. He goes down, and now the MiG tearing apart the second Striker. There's reinforcements here. They're slow to turn. They're slow to fire. Can he get like 1, 2 more rockets off? The heal is coming through. This Chopper VX so close to death, and the MCV still active on the other side of the map. Those MiGs turn so slowly, but the flak cannon will push away this Striker. I don't think he can stick around. He's gonna try and race the health bar. That's crazy. Okay, he's running for the hills. There is a flak cannon already here, but there, I think, are a lot of angles he could potentially... flak troopers might be a problem to deal with as well. And the MiG gets the kill. All right. The Empire army falling apart here. The MCV onto the high ground. He needs a little bit more coverage from these Tesla coils before he goes up to the high ground. As these Tengus, they're going to have to transform. They may actually get the kill on the MCV just with the Emperor's, with the honorable discharge. Although not if they're not close to the MCV. It's so low. It's going to die to a Tengu. Tengu with no point defense drone gets the kill. That's not the end of the world here. There's a naval yard there. There's a crusher crane on the other side of the map. This Soviet build is still working out, but the margins do feel slim. Back up to Tier 2. That was your opportunity, but now with the MCV down, there can't be a quick follow-up from these Tesla coils. They can't get onto the high ground, which is the real problem. If he had gotten like a reactor or something, if he had been able to deploy the MCV on the high ground, get out one building just to maintain a little bit of build radius on the high ground, it would be different, because he could chain that together, knock down both of the power plants, knock down that refinery as well. And then this Mecha Bay wouldn't be the only thing that the Soviet player has to worry about. He would have given a lot more problems to the Empire player to deal with. But as it stands, half of the infrastructure in the main base still remains. It did not get rebuilt. He didn't have to spend like an extra 1,600 or $2,000, whatever it is, to rebuild those 2 power plants. He didn't have to lose too much mining time from this ore refinery. MCV may be on the way over here, and this is such an awkward situation now from these 2 players. Error has the better economy for basically, I don't know, most of this game, if not all of this game. Yeah, look at that. He's had the better economy, but he's also had the much more expensive build, so much more infrastructure, so much cash spent on base defenses, these static defenses, flat cannons, sentry guns, Tesla coils. Half of them have been sold off at this point because they were in, not great positions. But the Empire, every dollar that he's spent has pretty much been on units. They can defend back home, they can move to the other side of the map, and now the Twin Blades are here, and this is a difficult thing for the Empire to deal with. Doesn't even get to transform there. The MiGs are here, so even if he transforms, he's going to have to deal with the MiGs. strikers on the other side of the map. This is a difficult base race to win. When you're the Empire player, you got too many targets to shoot out. What a phenomenally entertaining game here in game number 2 of this match. We are sticking on the original ladder maps because we are here on Cabana Republic for game number 3. On the left side, rocking the red, this is On the Planet. 1 win, 1 loss. And with a pretty entertaining game number 2 going Crusher Crane once again, this is Error. Error making maybe lots of mistakes, but no errors in that last game, coming away with the win. Still managing to find some fun ways to keep things interesting. He kind of got pushed around on Infinity Isle, but he was allowed to get up to his 4 refinery setup on Battle Base Beta, and then from there he was just able to do enough damage, keep things moving along. His opponent was slow enough to react and respond that it worked out quite nicely. Now, this is one of those maps that does have a double expansion. It's not exactly a double expansion, but you can pretty quickly take 2 refineries up there, and we'll see if he actually decides to go for that. Burst drone maybe a little bit late to the party. He shows up and he's like, hey, that MCV is way far away, and he will attach himself to that MCV. Bears clean up the Imperial Warriors, and that engineer has a safe passage to the oil derrick. So at the very least, he will get that cash back. Sometimes Empire players do like to go for a couple of extra dojos, get themselves both oil derricks, but in this case, it is 1 per player. And this has been, I think, fully scouted by this burst drone. He knows exactly what is coming up. And it is actually a huge delay on the war factory of the Soviet player. So Error is going airfield and airfield pretty much as quickly as you can. 3rd refinery coming up, flak cannon as well. A couple of units inside of this building. And what is the Empire player going to do about it? He's gone up to tier 2 already. We'll see if he, again, sticks with just the Transformer army. He is going for a 3rd base. He's got that high ground, which is mostly far away from the Soviets. He can stop that, or that bear can delay him for a moment or 2, but the Tango is actually going to clear out the bear, so no real problems there. I think the bear will end up spotting the refinery regardless. He will end up seeing it with the dying vision of the bear. And if not, he may suspect that it's happening anyways. Sentry gun also being added on here. So it is a flak cannon plus a sentry gun for the Soviet. And then a very forward MCV location to follow it up. He has got himself a winning build order. We saw this from Green Alert as well earlier on in this same qualifier. And it did work a little bit there. He was able to win a couple of games with it. I think he won a whole series just with the push. And in this case, the Tesla coil has taken quite a bit of damage before it got started. And there is not a safety structure to work from. He is trying to rebuild over here on the water, which does limit the options. The infantry can't get in on the fight, and the flak cannon continues to take their attention. The MiG's trying to chase away those strikers. 1 MiG ends up going down, and the VX is continuing to put out the damage. MiG's trying to find that perfect angle to engage, but the tank busters are in range, so that's another dead Tesla coil here for the Soviet player. Not able to get any real damage done so far, as he is going to have to cross back over. It looks like that twin blade did not accomplish what he was necessarily hoping to do. He stole that oil derrick, but he's not doing anything beyond that, and this MCV is getting lit up. So this is going to be a dead MCV. Naval Yard will be here to try and keep some build radius and also give a point to rebuild that MCV from. That that generator almost going down, that power plant almost getting eliminated by basically friendly splash damage, as the refinery will now be added on. That Crusher Crane's second build queue is a powerful thing indeed. Twin Blade will end up going down, not before he knocks down one of the strikers there on the ground, but if they can't kill off this build radius, I would not let up the pressure. This Soviet player has been so difficult to deal with, so frustrating with his builds, that I would not give him an inch, because he will surely take a mile. Naval Yard coming back up, gonna cut off some of the attack paths for killing off this refinery, and juggling this build radius can only happen so many times. This is an expensive thing to do when the buildings actually do have to finish up like that. So the Naval Yard will be canceled, the refinery gets deleted, and these harvesters are now just running for it. What are they going to be able to do? Not a whole lot. Third refinery up and running for the Empire player. And there are 4 harvesters out on the field for the Soviet, but there are not 4 working refineries. He does have that double oil derrick, which does give him a nice bit of advantage. And this is a big movement of Tengus, Strikers, Tank Busters, Imperial Warriors, the famous 4 of this Empire player. No tsunami tanks, no tech up, although in this game he wouldn't really want to be teching up to Wave Force Artillery or King Oni. It would make sense to just keep these tier 2 Mecha Bay units, but a couple of tsunami tanks could potentially add something to this mixture. Tank Busters continuing to put out that damage, no one able to deal with them just yet. The barracks has been deleted, Twin Blades moving out. I don't think there is another Naval Yard on the way, so if this Crusher Crane goes down, then that will be it for this game. GG comes out, Error has been defeated, and everything is as it should be, as On the Planet gets the win. Error sticking around in that game for maybe a minute or 2 longer than he really needed to. And I was like, oh my gosh, is he gonna have some kind of sneaky outplay up his sleeve? But no, he did not. And we're on to Deep Sea for game number 4 of this best of 5. In the north, the Rock and the Red. He's died to a Tesla push. He's survived a Tesla push. Can he do it again? This is On the Planet. And is he opening Crane once again? No, he is not. It is not a mistake. This is Error. The purple Soviet player deciding to go back to normal, I guess, here on Deep Sea. Loses the Flak Trooper, a little bit unfortunate. Does not have the Engineer in the oil derrick just yet. Maybe a little bit slow on that one. But On the Planet, up to match point now. He is in a best of 5 here in these early stages of the qualifier. And so just a couple of losses kicks you down to that lower bracket. Reactor coming up. The base crawl is on the way for the Soviet player. And the Bear and the Imperial Warrior eliminate each other. War Factory coming up. Dojo will be able to deploy. He might even get a couple of walls up as well, just to delay this Soviet build even longer. Bear comes out. Imperial Warrior jumps into the building. Power plant is ready to go. Are we going to have the same kind of Transformer army from On the Planet that we have seen multiple times in a row? A number of Empire players do also like their MCV cells on this map. You get this little setup, double power plant, double refinery, and then you can sell off your MCV. Lots of other Empire players do like to go for that third refinery. Every once in a while, we'll see someone sneak one of these water expansions, get that up and running. Sickle moving forward. Barracks still hasn't been dealt with just yet from the Empire player, so that's being kept around for the current moment. And Sickle going for a bit of harass will be dealt with by that Tengu. MCV on the move. He has been spotted way out of position. This MCV is not where he should be. Walls coming up from the Empire player to try and deal with this, but also burst drones onto the other side of the map. He's kind of seeing what is going on in the Soviet base. He knows there is no super reactor. He knows there is no crusher crane. This is not some kind of a Tesla coil push that you have to be worried about on the other side of the map. Burst drone is slowing down one of the harvesters. The other harvester is completely offline, so this Soviet economy is crippled here as this sickle gets pummeled to death by the Tengus. Barely still alive, will finally go down, misses the cash back by just a moment, and the walls now coming up. The MCV deployed in this awkward forward position, double walls on both of the ramps here, as we do have the long line of walls trying to slow down the Soviet push, and the Soviet push just is not materializing. Tengus going to get a little bit of damage done, return to base. There's the third coming up for On the Planet. He's gone tier 2 on his mecha bay. He is gone for a third refinery as well. He has the pieces to play the game the exact same way that he always has. And there's the refinery coming up to match it from error. So he is trying to correct the economic difficulties that he's had up to this point, but both players do have their oil derricks. They both can stabilize from this position. Super reactor is going to be super late from the Soviet player compared to the normal timing that he would like to have, but if the MCV makes it back home safely, then this is a normal enough position. We'll see if he's able to deal with this aggression that is coming his way. Striker trying to chase down that sickle. And the crane is going to be canceled. Uh-oh. This was a bit of a problem. He thought we was going to go one direction, and he does not have time to get there. One harvester down. The second one is under threat, and the bullfrog feels like it's a million miles away. Crusher, no, it's a super reactor getting started up here. Bullfrog getting bullied by those Tengus, and the VX comes back in for another pass. Super reactor gets canceled once again, and the Tengus do get tagged by the Bullfrog, hanging out in its fire radius for a little bit too long. Those Tengus taking a lot of damage, but the Strikers continue to pump out the rockets onto this harvester. That's the last scoop of ore that he's going to be able to deliver, and the Tengus once again bullying those Bullfrogs on the ground. Will finally get the cash back there. The Terror Drone survives as well, which is always nice, and these Strikers will be the arbingers of doom. GG comes out. On the Planet will advance into the next round, and Error will drop down to the lower bracket. That will do it for this round. We are now jumping into the round of 8 in the upper bracket. And we're in to the round of 8. Game number 1 of this fresh best of 5 in the north, rocking the Cyan Soviets, but ultimately playing random. This is DDF, who we have seen before in a previous video, but at the time of casting, I did not know it was DDF. In the south, rocking the orange, playing the Allies. This is Classicnoob. Able to get a win in that previous game, and now he is up against someone that we have been seeing for like 5-6 years at the top of his game, at the top of the tournament almost every single time. DDF, every time I see this guy in a tournament, he's usually making top 4. It used to just be him and Demon up at the top. They would verse each other in the finals of, it felt like, every single tournament. Demon would usually get the upper hand. A couple of times DDF got the upper hand. A couple of times there were some crazy comebacks as well, but DDF is here. Again, Classicnoob, a player that I am much less familiar with. DDF, we've been seeing this guy on and off for 5 or 6 years at least. And Classicnoob, you know, maybe I've seen him a couple of times here or there, but I feel like this tournament is the first time seeing him maybe consistently. But we're here on Mers Landing. DDF been playing random for this whole event. He's continuing here versus the allied player Classicnoob, and in this case we get ourselves a Soviet mirror matchup. Now maybe he can do what he did last time and complete the win with all 3 of the factions getting randomly Soviets, Allies, and Empire in 3 consecutive games. Or maybe Classicnoob will force him out of his random box and cause him to choose a faction, which does occasionally happen. You will sometimes have players who play random early on in a tournament, and then as the opponents get tougher, as the matchups get more difficult, they end up just sticking with some faction. They'll maybe choose Allies or Empire a lot of the time. Sometimes they switch over to Soviets. Just depends on whatever they think is strongest. Sickle and a couple of bullfrogs coming up. This is not a high damage output army. Conscripts, bears, bullfrogs, and 1 sickle. This is not a big base killing force by any means, but this is a let's kill some Vindicators force. When they're on top of the Vindicators, one of them gets gunned down immediately. Bullfrog for a Vindicator. The Soviets happy to take that trade, and all of the bullfrogs go down, but 2 of the 3 Vindicators, 3 of the 4 Vindicators survive. That guy's so close to death, but he actually does manage to stay alive. Harvester going to be getting back to work, will be able to keep everything alive and running well. Third refinery up for both players. Economy staying close to each other. DDF $500 ahead, but considering how many bullfrogs he just lost to only killing 1 Vindicator, that is probably fine for Classicnoob. He's going to be pretty much okay with that setup so far. Vindicators moving back out. We don't have the cryocopters just yet, so these Vindicators are going to try and... Oh, the bullfrogs actually stopped. They want to go for a more aggressive positioning, but of course that does guarantee the kill onto 2 bullfrogs. Again, traded back for just 1 Vindicator, and in this case, the cryocopter is now out. So Harvester going to get shrunk down. It looks like he is heading... He might be heading all the way back here for that expansion. The dog is still over on the right side, and now DDF has moved out to the backdoor water expansion to set up his 4 refineries plus his oil derrick for the mid into the late game. Super reactor is out. Not a lot of hammer tanks, as you can see. It's mostly bullfrogs and sickles. A bit of a contrast to what we've seen from some other Soviet players. 2 cryocopters on the front line. They're going to try and shrink. They're going to try and freeze their way to a win. 1 Vindicator goes down, but the Harvester has been frozen, and now a Bullfrog will be frozen as well. The cryocopter's absorbing a lot of the damage there. 1 finally will fall, and another Bullfrog will go down. The remaining Bullfrog chasing those Vindicators as long as he can. Those machine guns, when they're shrunk down, fire fast, but just don't do a lot of damage. There's going to be a flak cannon on top. Ooh, okay, sell off the MCV. No Crusher Crane for the additional cash back. It is 3 Harvesters because this guy hasn't been rebuilt, but okay, now we're on to a 4 Harvester economy for DDF, and that is where he's going to be staying. He's got the cash back from the MCV, and he is hoping to make his play with the tech that he's got. Flak Troopers, Terror Drone, Bullfrogs. You only need a couple of hammer tanks when you're actually on the other side of the map. And for now, both of the cryocopters end up going down, so suddenly the variability is gone from the equation. The efficiency of the Allied Air Force has been cut off. And goodbye. So we got a cryo shot to worry about. We got rebuilding of cryocopters to worry about. But those first 2 being nuked so quickly, I guess it wasn't that quick in the grand scheme of things, but in that second engagement, they got nuked so quickly. Really cuts down the problems that the Allied player can cause the Soviet player. You can see the suspicion building here for Classicnoob. He's like, wait a second. What are you doing on just 3 refineries? He sends the dog. He's going to get the confirmation scout. He will not positively identify that the MCV was sold off. If his other dog spots that engineer in the north, then that'll sort of be like a 90% check. But I guess you never know exactly until you get that moment. Terror Drone forcing that prospector to deploy. So it's down from 4 prospectors just to 3. So that is -1 to the economy. And if you see that dry dock captured, you're like, okay, I kind of think I know where that engineer came from. Cryocopter here on the front line. Where is the army to deal with this? Well, the army is a multi-gunner turret. One Guardian tank is here as well, and now we got 2 Cryocopters so they can cycle those shrink rays. Probably should get some repairs on that Harvest, or on that Cryocopter. Harvester hasn't been rebuilt just yet. A conscript is coming over. Harvester about halfway done, so can get the cash back from selling off the command hub. And now the Peacekeepers forming up the front line. Hammer tanks ready to crush. There's going to be the shrink coming through once again. Peacekeepers make short work of one of the shrunk down hammer tanks, but the other ones are just pressing on forward. Classicnoob has nothing to deal with this army. 2 Guardian tanks were there, but now only 1 remains, although he's going to be able to get the crush, and the flak troopers are the only thing that he can't deal with easily. Cryocopters can't shrink them. Vindicators come in for the bombing runs, but both Vindicators go down, and now there's still 3 flak troopers and 3 hammer tanks. You have to deal with both threats. He just crushes them, and that's one way to get the kill, and now it's up to just the hammer tanks. They can be crushed when they're shrunk down like that, but for now, they're staying safe. Bullfrogs got pushed to the far side of the battle. Another hammer tank going to be going down, and Classicnoob doing a phenomenal job to try and pull a defense out of this situation, but for the current moment, DDF just goes. He is not letting the gas off, and he is just continuing to press in with this attack. 5 hammer tanks still remain. The Cryocopters go down, and the GG comes out. That sends us on to a new map, and it gives us a new matchup as well. We've got ourselves a Classicnoob allies versus the still Cyan, but now Empire DDF. These 2 guys have to change things up by the force of nature. By the forced randomization of DDF ended up drawing Empire. So Classicnoob will have to change up his tactics, change up what he wants to do, but also, you know, sometimes you end up with a player who maybe they're really good at allies, and their favorite matchup is playing versus Empire. They win, you know, 90% of their Empire games, but they lose 90% of their AVAs or their AVSs. And in that case, it would be a huge benefit to Classicnoob in this matchup. Riptide comes out, a couple of Javs, maybe a couple of Peacekeepers as well. At least 1 Javelin Soldier. Not sure if he actually built more than 1, but there was a couple of PKs in there, and now the Riptide can move forward. Riptide before the second refinery. You saw that that was a delay to the eco to get out that faster naval yard, and now the follow-up is going to be the airfield for our allied player. Riptide, a couple of Javs, couple of PKs, gonna try and push back this Empire force, and that's a dead oil derrick as well. So 1 Javelin Soldier packed along inside these walls just to help deal with those Tengus, provide a little bit of extra anti-air, and the MCV did get repositioned here by DDF. He got both of the oil derricks, he got the cash back on both of the oil derricks, he got the faster eco start to the game, and he did not, like his opponent, have to delay his refinery to make that opening happen. Laser Lock will be able to deal with 1. Nope, doesn't quite bust them out just yet. We'll keep that structure alive for a little bit longer. And Classicnoob, he should be able to take this 3rd refinery relatively easily, get into a defensible position. He's going Vindicator. He might just be going straight for Tier 2. No, gonna go for something else. There's the 3rd refinery coming up, and with a start like this, DDF also has time to get his own 3rd refinery here on the high ground if he wants it. Apollo heads over, Tengus give chase, Conyard deploys, and the dojo moves forward. DDF looking to put on a little bit of pressure, mostly infantry, mostly Tengus. Walls coming up to help slow down this army. If they want to go for that refinery, it's going to take them a couple of extra shots to get through. Dojo moves in, and of course the Tengus are here ready to collapse on this force. The army value is in favor of DDF. We'll see if that allied efficiency can come into play. He's going 2 airfields. That was not a Tier 2. That was a 2nd airfield on the way. Apollo's going to get jumped on. The Tengu numbers are just better, but the Apollos do have the repair. And where is the multi-gunner turret? It hasn't even started just yet. Dojo still roaming around. Tengu's looking for the angle. Behind this, DDF hasn't sold his MCV, but he also hasn't gone for an additional expansion just yet. There's going to be one harvester down, as this allied player is going to have to pay a price for this opening. Riptide goes down. Peacekeepers will be cut to pieces. Dojo will deploy on the front line, and now there just isn't a whole lot left on the ground. The Vindicators needed to be out maybe 30 seconds earlier to be able to get off their bombing runs. This second airfield has not been able to be utilized. If DDF would have just waited a little bit, Classicnoob could have had some better defense set up, and now that airfield is going to go down. The third harvester hasn't really even earned its keep. 27,500. It's barely even worth it to have gotten that refinery. Everything falls apart here in game number 2. DDF is looking strong in this series, opening up with Soviets, following up with Empire, wins in both games. Classicnoob is sticking around. Always interesting to see. His plan, I guess, is to turtle on one refinery, and he's gonna build a lot of walls. He's like, all right, if you didn't go tier 2, it's gonna take you a while to blow up these walls. Does he still have the dojo? Oh no, he lost the dojo. So if he could produce tank busters, then it becomes easier to knock down those walls. But Tengu's, Imperial Warriors can't shoot walls, but Tengu's take a long time to knock down those walls. It's maybe even faster just to explode your own units on them. Cryo shot fires off, unfortunately for Classicnoob. He does not get the timing there to freeze that harvester. Vindicator and an Apollo going to be crossing over. I'm not sure what the plan is here. He's going to take a couple of strays from those VXs on the floor, and the refinery gets redeployed. That is one nice thing about having the MCV in that position, is that he could redeploy that refinery at the water location, which is a little bit safer than the one on land, and the forces have backed off. Third refinery is now up and running for the Empire player, and he has lost a power plant, or maybe he just never built an additional power plant, but either way, he finds himself in a low power mode. He doesn't have the lights on. His production is slowed, and he's going for a naval yard and not another power plant. He's not even building another power plant. He's just continuing to live on this low power mode setup. Meanwhile, the Allied player has rebuilt all 3 refineries. Could go ahead and sell off that command hub if he needs the additional cash, but DDF, he may be 5k up. The army value is quite close. Of course, a good chunk of that is Apollos. About half of that army value is Apollos, and they don't shoot down. So as long as stuff is on the ground, then it's basically 6 or 7k army versus 3k army. I don't know that we need the naval yard, but he is going naval yard, so there you go. He is going naval yard. He got himself another power plant. And DDF, in the previous game, he was hitting that gas, not hitting the brakes, and this time he's hitting the brakes. He just let the foot off the gas, and he is happy to play this one out a bit slower. Yari Minisub is moving out. Not going for any tsunamis just yet. He's just sticking with the Transformer army for the current moment. Does have the point defense drones to be able to add a little bit of DPS or add a little bit of extra health to this army. And the army sub has to decide, what am I going to do about that Vindicator? 4 refineries versus 3 refineries and an oil derrick is a close eco game, but it does still favor the 4 refineries. Apollo's almost getting caught on these Tengus. They're going to turn around and fight, and that's going to spell disaster for at least one Apollo, but all 3 of them get their wings clipped, traded back for 3 Tengus, and the Allied player isn't going to feel too bad about that. He got as good of a situation as he could out of that. If the Javs could have been a part of that fight for a little bit longer, it would have changed things. There's the split of the Yari mini-subs. He does manage to get himself away from the cryo shot, and that has taken that tool off of the table as the Tengus transform and go for a kill on another harvester. 2 multi-gunner turrets to try and defend this refinery location. It's never great when that is your play, but at least it keeps it alive for now. This has left the base a little bit open, a little bit exposed, and that power plant is dead. Say goodbye to the electricity that you used to like, and he could even move over here to try and get that power plant as well if he thinks he's got the time before the Apollos get rebuilt. But I don't know that he even has rebuilt the Apollos. He can only rebuild one because he never rebuilt that other airfield. So he's now got 3 Vindicators, and he could only ever rebuild 1 Apollo. So he definitely could go for the power plant. He could have killed that off, even if he ends up losing 1 VX. He'd still make it back to land in time to transform the other 2. Vindicators come in. Everything survives. The refinery down to 20% HP, the harvester down to like 1% HP, and the command hub down to half. Vindicators move in, a couple of them end up going down, and 1 more will get eliminated. He did manage to get out tier 2. He did manage to get himself out an assault destroyer as well. Classicnoob fighting with everything he's got, and there's the sell-off of the naval forces. He can't keep bleeding out to the Yari mini-subs. He hasn't started rebuilding on this refinery. It does still feel like the Empire player has all of the tools, but again, DDF keeps hitting the brakes. He is not interested in going all in and pressuring constantly. He is interested in the slow, steady plays. Like I pointed out before, he could have gone for the kill on that power plant with the VXs earlier, but that is technically a little bit of a risky play, and so instead he goes for the safer option. He uses the Yari mini-subs he already has. He goes for the attack there, and he ends up losing the Yari to the Vindicators, but it was the safer play. Also, I think there's a Yari. You can, like, hear the Yari. It's stuck. You can see it on the mini-map. I think it's stuck in the terrain somehow. And now he's moved in a bit closer so he can suicide and get the kill on the power plant. It's not enough to send him into low power mode this time because he sold off that refinery, so he doesn't have as much stuff to worry about. And the kill off of that power plant does kind of stop any additional multi-gunner turrets from being deployed. This refinery still hasn't been rebuilt, but he has at least gone for the water expansion. This harvester, rather, hasn't been rebuilt, is what I should say. Tsunami tanks out on the field, dojo getting rebuilt so we can have Imperial Warriors, we can have tank busters into the mix as well. This is no longer just a purely vehicle army. It does have an infantry component as well, which will help him charge forward and deal with those javelin soldiers. It sort of feels inevitable that the Empire player will win, but at this point, we've gone on so long that the earlier advantages that the Empire player had have somewhat fallen away. And so it is possible for the Empire player to throw from this position. He would be throwing into an allied player who has 4 refineries, 3 working harvesters, a solid foundation to work with. I do think we would have to classify it as this is the Empire's game to lose, just to be clear, but he would be losing into a well-set-up Allied player. Allied players love their 4 refineries. There's going to be the cryo shot firing off again. An Empire player always happy to trade. It's every single one of the jabs. Happy to trade out those Imperial Warriors for it. And man, trading out Imperial Warriors in that engagement is like the dream scenario. You get every single javelin soldier, and then the assault destroyer is just useless, spinning its wheels, spinning its tracks, trying to crush Imperial Warriors. And that will do it. Game 2 goes to DDF. And we're here on Deep Sea for an Allies versus Soviets. You'll never guess who the Soviet player is in the north playing the Cyan. Of course, it's DDF. And sticking with those Allies, rocking this orange. This is Classic Noob. Bouncing back as well as he could in that last game. He never gave up is probably the best way to put it, in that he was always trying to make the comeback possible. He was always trying to make sure that he had as good of a foundation to work with. So if his enemy did throw, he would be able to catch it and he would be able to pivot. From that 4 refinery setup, if DDF had made some mistakes in the engagement, had given some opportunities, then Classic Noob would have again had that foundation to work from for the comeback. Didn't end up happening, and in DDF's case, you really don't expect him to be the one throwing away to pull off some kind of terrible engagement, but it happens all the time in competition, in sport, in video games. Throws just happen. Sometimes because players are sloppy, and sometimes just because that is what happens. So you have to hand it to Classic Noob at least being ready for the throw, even though he basically did almost nothing proactively in that previous game. He was just playing keep away, trying to block, trying to dodge anything that was headed his way. There's the double reactor, the crawl towards... Oh, he goes for backwards war factory. Is that on purpose? Is that an intentional move where the units exit backwards? Or was that a little flick of the wrist and you end up with the thing backwards? Bear does get sniped. Vindicators are like, we might as well get some kind of a kill and then head home because we don't want to fight those 2 bullfrogs. Never know when the 3rd bullfrog is going to be popping on out. Peacekeeper grabs to the building. A couple of units being sent around the map for that scouting, that map awareness from both players. Oh, okay. That was actually a really sick move. It doesn't necessarily make a difference to anything, but that was a really sick move. Sniped both of the conscripts and exited before the Molotov cocktail landed so that he got the perfect combo. Kill the opponent, lose nothing. And of course, with this Peacekeeper in shield mode, well, never mind, the Terror Drone is there to kill it off, so the Bears can't do anything, but the Terror Drone can. Scout comes out. Vindicators see this exposed location. They have an idea that it is a 4 refinery setup from the Soviet player, and DDF, kind of like some of the other Soviet players that we have seen, happy to just set up that base. Again, DDF not doing a lot on the other side of the map. Maybe a little bit of scouting, maybe a little bit of pressure, but overall not doing a whole lot until he gets his foundation set. In this case, do you just start rebuilding the harvester immediately? It feels like you should, because you might as well use the cash that you have to get that harvester going. And, well, at the very least, he will do it eventually. 3rd refinery up and running for the Allies. And, of course, with that harvester kill, they are matched in terms of their eco. Do you go for the super reactor first, or do you go for the harvester first? In this case, he is trying to get both at the same time, and the harvester is frozen in place. Crowdcopters moving in. Classic Noob. You see what he's doing. He spotted the bullfrogs on this side of the map, kind of the right side of the map. He swings first over to the left side, snipes that harvester, and then he comes back to the right side. So if DDF had moved his bullfrogs down here defensively, it would have left this completely exposed. Bullfrogs were here. He got the kill anyways. It didn't actually end up mattering. But it was a nice setup there from Classic Noob, striking where your opponent is not. DDF has kept that barracks around. He can go for a couple of flak troopers to try and beef up his anti-air. 4 bullfrogs, but no flak cannons just yet. And now here we go again. Classic Noob hitting the opposite side of the map from where he was previously. It does look like we have an MCV cell. It did look like... I don't know where the engineer went, if that was an MCV cell, but that did look like the remains of an MCV, so we are locked in here for DDF. A bit similar to Mers Landing in a lot of ways. openings are mirroring, and this allied player is trying to get up that 4th refinery. We'll see if it ends up happening. He was a little bit late to the oil derrick game. He has caught up. The harvester harassment has been very successful. Kills a bullfrog for free. This multi-gunner turret on the front line already sort of paying for itself, locking down this front area, and he wants to clear out that building. I don't know if he meant to leech it, which we did see another Soviet player accidentally shooting the building instead of leeching it. And in this case, ore collector now going to be sniped for the 3rd time. At this point, this refinery is probably just not worth it. He's only pulled $2,000 out of the ore refinery, and he's had to rebuild 2 harvesters as well. So not a good feeling for that ore refinery. Cryocopters have not been dealt with. With no MiGs, it does make it a bit of a difficult proposition. And right now, Classicnoob, with that Apollo Scout, he probably just confirmed for himself, this is an MCV cell build. I don't have to worry about airfield unless he wants to rebuild his MCV from there. So as long as he is not doing that, these cryocopters have a limited response. Bullfrogs, flak troopers, they are not the most agile units on these maps with so much high ground, low ground. Vindicators come in, cryocopters go for the shrink. Bullfrogs ineffective at holding off this front line. Cryocopters going to be coming back in. One of them will be traded back, and this is going to be a cryo shot as well on top of this army. Catches one of the hammer tanks, and they can quickly finish that off. The rest of the hammer tanks falling apart on the front line. DDF has bungled this front line attack, and Classicnoob takes over the high ground. The army falls to pieces, and Classicnoob finally puts one on the board and shoves DDF back. The Winds of Fortune have selected Empire for the cyan player on the left side. This is DDF. He's up 2-1. And with a slow, controlled game, playing the orange, rocking the allies, this is Classicnoob. Playing a classic allies game there for many, many moons. Allied players have played around and with the cryocopter. For certain allied players, that is literally the only unit composition that they can make work. Other allied players go a little bit more for the turret push style. And then some allied players mix it up entirely. You get a little bit of everything. But yeah, there are some allied players who have to play with 3+ cryocopters. They do not win games without them. A little bit of a random bark there. A little bit of a accidental click as that dog barks at nothing. Which, you know, I've had some dogs growing up that did bark at nothing. Just lots of yapping, not a whole lot of action from them. As Classicnoob loses his dog to the War Factory coming in. Airfield will be the follow-up. I don't think we saw a naval yard. I don't think we have any Riptides out on the field, so he is not going to go for that naval yard play. He's instead going to be going straight for the airfield. And by straight for the airfield, I mean a delayed airfield. That's not the fastest one possible. We do have a nice quick tier 2. This is not a cryo rush, but it is quick cryocopters, and this is going to be some infantry pressure with them. Apollo is here to guard, and DDF smells it. He didn't scout this, but he knows that something is up. He is suspecting. Now, unfortunately for him, the defense is over here in the main base. The attack is over here at the natural expansion. Tengu's going to start putting some pressure on to these peacekeepers, and there's going to be the Apollo to gun them down. The shrink ray not needed. The freeze ray doing its job, slowing down the Tengus, and it's 2 for 2. Freeze them on the ground. They slow down. They transform, and the Apollos kill them. That defender core so far away from the action, and the Imperial Warriors on the other side of the map, they've got a lot lower damage profile than cryocopters and peacekeepers. Oil derrick down, refinery down, harvester down, Imperial Warrior down. He's going to grab the oil derrick of his opponent, so it's 1-0 now, but I'm going to guess that you'd rather have the Classicnoob setup in this game than the DDF setup. Wins one with Soviets, wins one with Empire, loses one with Soviets. Is he about to lose one with Empire as well? Sells off his MCV. Engineer jumps inside of the power plant. That's a delay tactic. What's your plan to win it out? It's on the other side of the map. He's going for the mass Imperial Warrior play from the high ground, and it actually is working. The walls haven't been knocked down. The power plant does go, so DDF is on permanent low power mode. Unless he wants to rebuild that MCV from scratch, he is going to be lights out, slow production for the rest of the game. Sells off the refinery just to get himself back into the black here as he brings the lights on, and now it's going to be into the naval yard, into the riptides, and the walls do not get blocked off. Sometimes you can position that infantry perfectly that you can deploy, that you can block the walls, but no, that's it. GG gets called. DDF gets dropped out of Epicenter Island, and Classicnoob evens things up and sends us to the ace match. And okay, we're into the ace match on Temple Prime Reloaded on the left side, rocking the allies on a 2-win streak. Can he keep it up? This is Classicnoob. And he was up 2-0, and now things have slipped away from him. Can he bring it back? It's DDF. 5 games random, none of them allies. It's a 1/3 chance each time, but he didn't get allies any of the times. So in this case, we get Soviet Empire, Soviet Empire, Soviet for our 5-game series. Airfield way over here, packed along with these 2 buildings. This does look like a pretty careful placement from Classicnoob. He has deployed the wall, he delayed his refinery, and the bear did scout that as well. Now, this is a somewhat unusual map, partially because you have a double expansion that is pretty close to your base. It's out on the water, so it takes a little ways to get there, but that is, you know, a short walk to your natural expansion, if you want to call it that, and it's a double, so you get those 4 refineries up and running. You can go for the high ground just like in regular old normal Temple Prime, but you can also go out to the water for the double. Couple of peacekeepers spread around the map in these buildings, and airfield first. This is the first time we are seeing this build in this tournament. As far as I know, he did not go War Factory at all. It wasn't some kind of, I don't know why you would go War Factory and then sell it off, but in this case, I don't think he did that. Barracks, he's got the super reactor, he knows his opponent is playing greedy, and so he went straight for the airfield. First time I've seen this in, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years. Unless you're playing some kind of a team game or a 2v2v2, you're not going airfield first basically ever as a Soviet player, and yet here we've got it. Does he have an engineer? There it is. He's going to grab both of the oil derricks. So he won't get the cash back on the second one, but he will still steal that bit of income from his opponent. His opponent not going to be too upset. It's 4 refineries to 2. Third one on the way for DDF. And of course, with that fast airfield, we have the opportunity to get 4 MiGs up and running. There's only 2 of them, but they have a flak trooper and a flak cannon with them. So those MiGs, they may not be very strong on their own, but they can absolutely shred those Apollos with the help of the ground forces. 3rd refinery up and running for the Soviets. He's a bit behind, but he's looking to add that 4th refinery soon enough. And then that double oil derrick advantage will be the difference between these 2 players. Cryocopter's not unlocked yet, so he went 4 refineries, but he has not had the cash to go up to that tier 2 just yet. 4th refinery nearly ready, and he's not doing it. It's the War Factory instead, so no cryocopters for another minute or so, and that Apollo will manage to escape. One of his friends ended up going down. The Harvester is still pretty healthy, and the ore refinery is doing fine. 4th ref has finished up, and this is a nice solid foundation for both players. It feels like the longer it goes on, the more it's going to be favoring DDF, but we'll see what this allied Allied player can pull out. He has to be up to tier 2 now. He is not. Surely this is tier 2 on the way. He is hard locked with whatever his eco is doing. He is overspending it at the current moment, and he is not on short timings. Super reactor early does mean that you have a lot of electricity to play with, at least for the current moment. MCV now on the move. Did he ever go Crusher Crane back somewhere for the repairs? No, it doesn't look like he did. Would be worth it to get a Crusher Crane from this position, but he doesn't want to stop and take the time for it. His MCV is on the move, possibly moving towards that refinery location in the north. 6 refineries would be massive eco for this Soviet player. Right now, they're locked with the 4-4. They've got 1 oil derrick apiece, and the armies are roaming the map. DDF trying to push forward, and the air units of Classicnoob have just returned home to refuel and rearm. MCV nearly out to the double refinery location. If DDF is allowed to just do whatever he wants, then this is going to be a big win for his eco. Twin Blade going to take a couple of shots here. A lot of damage from those IFBs. Terror Drone moves in, gets the infect. Bears come in. That's a big roar. 5 Peacekeepers, $1,000 about to get shredded here. The paws work quick as that Peacekeeper loads up his shield and it protects him from the bear, but his friends are all dead. So what good is your life when everyone else has gone down? IFV gets eliminated. Twin Blade has been saved, and there's number 5 on the way. MiGs rolling forward. Where is the army for Classicnoob? He's spent the cash on the air forces, but he hasn't gotten much for them yet. IFVs are going to keep those cryocopters safe for the current moment, and there goes the oil derrick, and the satellites will drop in as well. Not a lot of kills, but they will get the power plant. A bit unfortunate for Classicnoob. He was ready with an additional power plant, which means he probably wanted to get himself out of low power mode, and now he just won't be able to. Cryocopter comes in. Vindicators drop their bombs early. They're going to try and evac from this location, and the cryocopter might actually survive. No, it does go down. Javelin soldiers on the low ground help get a kill, and the air forces get chased away. The MiG trying to find the last couple of shots. He will kill that Apollo. He gets the confirmed kill, and then he goes on home. Double power plant now stacked into that one location. Naval yard as well to try and harass this naval base of the Soviet player, and DDF just keeps pressure on this front door. The oil derrick may be gone, but this high ground is under his control, and Classicnoob, he has pulled everything back, but now he steps on forward. He was hiding in his base. Triple Twin Blade going for the snipe on this harvester, kind of similar to a cryocopter Vindicator attack. Takes a moment to get the freeze, and then the kill is instant, whereas with the 3 Twin Blades, you gotta wait for those machine guns to finish off the target. No Tesla coils ready just yet. Only 1 Akula sub means that this hydrofoil can easily stop it from doing anything. I guess they can fire their ultra torpedoes from underwater, but other than that, they can't surface to go for the kill. And the Dolphin is going to have to keep moving. Not a lot of other naval forces on the way from Classicnoob at the current moment. So we'll see what he's able to pull off here. A couple of bullfrogs might get caught by that cryo shot as the hammer tanks just push forward. It's a lot more army on the ground, and there go the Peacekeepers. One good roar sets them all down, and that will be it. The Peacekeepers are good versus the shrunk down hammer tanks, but versus the full-sized hammer tanks, there is no contest. Twin Blades, bullfrogs, MiGs, it's too much for the Allied player to deal with, and the great setup that both players had hasn't yielded many results for Classicnoob. DDF has been holding down his end of the bargain. Both players went for big eco. DDF went for that big army, but the clash was not close. Hydrofoil going to shred 1 Twin Blade. Akula sub finally gets the kill that he's been looking for this whole time, and the naval expansion is safe for now. 6 working harvesters for DDF. Income 8 1.7k. It's looking better and better for this Soviet player, as you can see, all the way forward, all the way back, and then a huge drop-off for DDF, just a cliff towards his side of the graph there, as his income has just gone far ahead that of his opponent. Ultra Torpedo takes down the Riptide. Assault Destroyer may get the other kill that matters, but this army on the ground doesn't seem to have much of an answer. Another Akula sub moves in. If this Assault Destroyer could get over to this location, the Riptides as well, then maybe with the Cryocopters, the IFVs, the Riptides, and the Assault Destroyer, they could make this defense. But for the current moment, he's just going to give up the refinery. He's going to try and lock down this naval location, and it looks like the Harvester has survived, so he can get back to work. But again, what do you do about this ground army? Because that army value is certainly a bit in favor of DDF. He is about 12k ahead in terms of army value. A chunk of that is those Bullfrogs. Ooh, if there were 3 or 4 Athena cannons and some other units to help body block for them, then maybe this could be something. Triple Shrink comes in. There's going to be the lights out once again, so that multi-gunner turret can't do anything. Vindicator's off the deck. Bullfrog's not in position to punish it. One Athena cannon pushes this army back, and DDF doesn't have the Twin Blades to run in and get the kill. I mean, he could have kept pushing. He could have kept the pressure up. He backs off. He wants the 7th refinery. He wants to get a guaranteed win. Again, just like the Empire game on Chrysoberyl Garden, he doesn't want to keep up the pressure and take a risky play. He absolutely could have traded out with that army. He absolutely could have rushed forward while the lights were out and killed the Athena cannon, probably killed the IFVs, maybe won the whole game there, but that would have been a risky play, and he is playing very risk-averse. He is wanting to play slower, he is wanting to play steady, and, okay, it's a little bit less entertaining for us. I guess you can't blame him. He has the better army, he has the better eco, he has the more options, always being able to move in on one front. And then look at this again. If he really wanted to, he could have tried to just gung-ho down that hill and say, yeah, I've got better eco than you, so even if our armies trade, I'm going to be able to remax better than you. And in this case, he's got so many Twin Blades on the other side of the map that he's just not using. This just feels like the ultimate play-safe kind of move. I can't believe how many Twin Blades he's got. Yeah, that army value now 30k in favor, nearly 30k in favor of Classicnoob. Double the income. The army grade is actually in favor of Classicnoob. He's got the better army, the better cost per unit, essentially. He's got a higher tech army. But these Twin Blades alone might be able to just win the game. Like if he roams over here, jumps on the naval yard to shut that down, and then goes for the power plants, he could probably just win the game based off of that. What are the IFVs going to do? Absolutely nothing. One hammer tank goes down. DDF being very careful here, being very cautious, leaves one conscript behind. Accidentally or not, that's hilarious. Takes 6 bombs to the face and will end up falling there. 7 refineries for the Soviet player, 11k per minute. He's still got the oil derrick from the beginning of the game. As we get ready to cross the 13-minute mark, he's floating 2k. He has an absolutely insane army. He's finally moving out with his Twin Blades. This is 2v2v2 levels of Twin Blades, and these 2 IFVs, they look so sad. He doesn't have to engage these IFVs here if he doesn't want to. The base is open and exposed. The defense is lower over here. The MiGs can suicide themselves, and instead he's going for the power plants. Pops 1, nice and easy, and the Allied forces in the middle, they're going to mostly back off. He does drop the cryo shot or the cryogeddon onto that location. And the Twin Blades still just roaming around, causing chaos, causing terror. Gonna camp on top of the war factory, kill the IFVs, and the GG comes out. Classicnoob has been defeated. DDF takes it in the ace match. You give him his time to build up, and he just doesn't get beaten. He gets that foundation. He out-macroed the allied player, and Classicnoob just got trapped in the corner. Welcome back to Battle Base Beta for our next best of 5 of the upper bracket quarterfinals, the round of 8, you could say. Although really, after you get past the round of 4, you are qualified. You aren't necessarily seeded, but you are qualified. And in the north, we've got the yellow Soviets. This is DarkFrom. He has beaten Epsilon, and he is here to face the Cyan Empire, named after the mountains. This is Zugspitze. A player that we have seen many times before, but not so much recently. I feel like we always get to see him take a bit of a break. And in this case, we do get to see him here in the BattleNet qualifier, aiming at the finals. Can he make it? As I said, this is a top 4 qualification situation, and since it's a double elimination, as long as you get into the upper bracket finals, you are guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. You'll either be the number 1 spot or the number 2 spot. If you drop down to the lower bracket, you still have a chance to qualify for the 3 and 4 spots. But of course, you do have to go through a couple more rounds. And in this case, both of these players are basically 2 rounds away from a guaranteed qualification. And both of these players are very, very close to qualification at this point, because even if you drop down to the lower bracket, you still only have to win like a round or 2 to get into that top 4. I think it's 2 rounds from the lower bracket, and you maybe have a shot then at the top 4. But here, you have 2 rounds, and then you are the number 1 and the number 2 seed, and that is a nicer place to be in terms of you're just locked in. There's no more question marks. You still have your lifeline, all of that stuff. Tango moves in. Control of the high ground in this area goes to the Soviet player. DarkFrom, as I said previously, a little bit less familiar with this guy compared to Zugspitze. Haven't seen Zugspitze in a while, but we have seen many of his games. He did win the Chrono Clash back in the day, the original Chrono Clash, which I think is the last time I saw him in a tournament. And in that case, I believe the finals was versus Andri, and he was able to win that quite convincingly. But it's been a little while, so maybe he's out of shape, maybe he's out of form. And for an unfortunate reason in the previous round, in the round of 16, his opponent just did not show, so he had no games. And before that, I didn't know where he was in the bracket. MCV pushes forward. Tengu's going to be able to gun down these sickles. The sickles just kind of standing there and dying. And this MCV position will allow the Empire player to hold the middle. Tank Busters deal with the sickles. Imperial Warriors and Tengus deal with the rest. The crush coming in from the MCV. But the Soviet army has just died, and okay. He rushed forward, and then he just ran out of steam. I don't know what his plan was there in the middle of the map, but it did not work. And we're here on Industrial Strength, and as the dojo comes out in the south, you know it's the Cyan player. You know who it is. This is Zugspitze. And in the north, rocking the orange this time, sticking with Soviets, it's DarkFrom. We do have 2 ladder maps in a row here. I feel like DarkFrom versus Epsilon was also a bunch of ladder maps as well. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but I think that's how it was. Bear's going to try and guard this flak trooper. 1 bear goes down. I think another conscript just jumped into the building, so the Imperial Warrior may... Oh, and the bear does get the roar off, does get the charge. 2nd bear trying to come in, and Imperial Warrior will run away. A tempest in a teapot there as these 2 players fight furiously over that building location. Oil Derek, never heard of him. Not interested. Don't care. Garage is my new best friend, says DarkFrom. I don't know that I've ever seen a player rush for the Garage and ignore the Oil Derek. It's so much more common to ignore the Oil Derek and just commit sometimes even double barracks to be able to secure one of these oil derricks versus Empire. You've got the conscripts, you've got the bears, you can usually get it done. But in this case, DarkFrom, he did not go for the oil derrick and instead goes for the garage. Not targeted just yet. Zugspitze has not decided to turn his guns on that garage yet. Imperial Warriors are going to try and rush for it. They see the bear. The bear can get the roar. The bear goes the wrong way. The jump comes in. The engineer snipes one, and the others are dealt with. Easy peasy. It looked dicey for a moment there, and the Soviet engineer lives to fight another day. Your repairs, my repairs, says Zugspitze. He may have a Soviet flag on his building, but it's his nonetheless. And well, I guess it's about to change hands again anyways, and it will go back to the Soviet side. It means a lot more for the Soviets. The Tengu close to stopping this from happening, but it will not happen. Flak Trooper jumps inside, will switch over to his flak cannon and be able to do some damage to that Tengu. Mecha Bay is here. Orange is the color of the garage, and the War Factory is pumping out units. Third refinery not on the menu for either player, but Zugspitze also didn't double secure the oil derricks, so he's only got one. DarkFrom didn't deploy a second reactor before moving his MCV, so he is on low power mode. He can get his lights back on now as his MCV deploys, and he can decide to go for a super reactor or whatever he wants next in the queue. Sickles come out. They're dealing with those Imperial Warriors. 2 sickles have already crossed the map, which means these Tengus don't have a lot to worry about just yet. It's 1 sickle versus 2 Tengus, and with the repairs, the Tengus will just choose to run away. So instead of worrying about that, they decide to go the other direction. This sickle, on the other hand, you can't repair through VX fire. That's just a little bit too much damage, but you can jump away. And plus the run, he's actually surviving quite a bit longer than he would otherwise. Eventually, the sickle does go down. Barracks onto the high ground and going conscripts as well. Must have deployed another reactor somewhere over here in his main base. Still hasn't gone for the oil derrick just yet. And he's flacking it. He's going for the cash back on it. And I think you get $500 back from destroying the oil derrick. So he at least gets the cash back for one of his engineers. Terror drone moves over onto the high ground. Chopper VX is trying to find an angle into the base. They weren't able to do it, but they'll stop by and they'll fire some shots at this garage. Bullfrogs are kind of far away. They might not be able to save this. Do this? VXs want to sacrifice anything to get the guaranteed kill? The answer is no for now, but the Bullfrogs are also kind of leaving this base open and exposed. This high ground can be very powerful because the VXs can get out of range of the ground anti-air units. They're not even going for the harvester. They're going for the building itself. Onto the high ground they go, and they escape that Bullfrog for the current moment. The garage still under the control of the Soviet player, and the engineer rushing for it. He's going to try and save it as another striker comes in, and the VX can't get the kill. Zugspitze, he's striking several places, and he's striking out. He gets the Bullfrog there. He continues the harass, but these ore collectors are not that worried by just a single Tengu when they have the garage, which we'll see how long they have that garage. It's been a while now, and he's still got it. Third refinery coming up for the Soviet players, but it's not online just yet. DarkFrom with a nice solid foundation in this game. It has been a chaotic first 5 minutes. It has been a lot of back and forth. Get back to work, buddy, as he needs to get himself online with these harvesters. And okay, he does finally do it there. But it's been a pretty chaotic first couple of minutes, but if he can get this third refinery up and running, he would have been at a nice, stable foundation kind of location. He would have had the garage, if he had the super reactor, 3 refineries. That's a nice place to play from, but it feels like at this point, the Empire player has been focusing on building army units, and because of the oil derrick earlier, because both players have been sitting on those 2 refineries, and there's been a lot of fighting over location without much permanent damage. Building gets cleared. Toxins deal with that. There's been a lot of fighting for location, so there isn't a lot of, like, peak infrastructure that the Soviet player has constructed. His super reactor completed around the 6-minute mark. Quite late for a typical super reactor, and now the garage is gone. So all of the time, effort, and energy spent trying to control that garage in the middle of the map is now basically eliminated. A couple of extra kills for these toxins, and the super reactor being finished up super late. The no third refinery, it does put the Soviet player in an awkward spot. He's got his first hammer tank out on the field. He doesn't have airfield, though, and it feels like from this position, with how much these Empire players have been loving their Transformer armies, being able to control the air is very important. And that can be a bit difficult with the Bullfrogs. Nice vision from the conscripts. Bullfrogs do manage to get a kill there. And is he just going... Oh, he's actually going Crusher Crane. He's still not going airfield yet. But airfield on 2 refineries doesn't give you a lot of options. He was never able to establish that third, and the third is now moving into position for Zugspitze. Jump onto the high ground, goes the sickle. He's got vision there, and he cancels that Crusher Crane. He canceled the 3rd refinery. He canceled the Crusher Crane. The indecision is ringing. And it feels like the Empire player who got tier 2 a lot earlier and has had more options for longer has been keeping the Soviet locked on his side of the map. Terror drone does end up going down there. Point defense drones, I think, ready to reapply very soon. There he goes for the big transform. Okay, no reapply yet. No 3rd refinery, no Crusher Crane, but now the 3rd refinery has started again. So it looks like we will be seeing it after all. Low on cash because, of course, with no oil derrick, he doesn't have that extra bit of consistent income. And with no 3rd from earlier in this game, he has been fighting from a bit of a disadvantage economically. It's not huge. It's only $5,000 over the course of these 8 minutes, but that's basically an extra hammer tank per minute of missing income between these 2 players. And in this case, the refinery once again survives. 3rd refinery should be coming up. 4th refinery on the way for Zugspitze. And this 3rd refinery, it's taken a decent amount of damage multiple times here, but it is still alive. And Zugspitze cycles around to the other side. Armor already up on this harvester. He says, I know you're there, and I am not taking a chance on this harvester taking some damage. And for the current moment, Zugspitze is happy to let it happen. Sends over his naval yard as well. 4 refineries plus an oil derrick is a great eco setup for an Empire player. And for the current moment, he's got more harvesters that are... he's got more harvesters on the field than are actually working. Bullfrogs will basically get a guaranteed kill on this Tengu, but splash damage nearly kills 2 units as well, and with no Crusher Crane and no Garage, that damage is currently permanent. Another Harvester being put into the hold queue, as these Harvesters just are not working. 2 of them just sitting there, 1 of them still sitting there. He has forgotten about this main base harvester, so even though he's got 3 harvesters, his income doesn't reflect it. Tengu's over top of this army. Chopper VX is just going for the kills, and a couple of these Bullfrogs so low on HP that they're putting out damage, but they just don't have the health to match it, and DarkFrom taps out. The big fight finally happens, and Zugspitze crushes it. That Empire army got the perfect spot and just ran over the Soviets. And we're here on Deep Sea for game number 3. The purple Soviets in the north. This is DarkFrom. He needs your cheers, but I can think of another player who started out 0-2 and then turned it around. In the south, this is the Cyan. This is Zugspitze. DarkFrom needs to channel his inner Classicnoob, turn this around, and then just fix that game number 5. That was the only thing that Classicnoob needed to adjust, was that game number 5. Everything else, you know, it sort of ended up working out there. And we'll go for the extra reactor. This is refinery after the war factory. So he does want the faster sickles. He does want the faster terror drones as well. Mecha Bay on the way for this Empire player. dojos roaming around, and this first dojo, or this farthest dojo, is looking for the block on that third refinery. Classic spot, classic option to try and slow down that Soviet eco at the third. Mines will be able to knock this down. A couple of conscript, Molotov cocktails as well. Zugspitze could go all in on this map. Some Empire players do like to go for that. They like their MCV cells into the all-in once you get that foundation set up. And it is going to be Super Reactor after. So DarkFrom going for that potential third location will be able to power it nicely with the super reactor, but it does mean it'll be just a little bit later. He has to clear out the walls anyways, so that's not a big problem. I saw no MCV and I was worried for a second. All right, MCV is on the move. No MCV cell, but also no third. He could always head out to the water to try and go for a bit of a hidden base, but most of the time players will just go for the nearby land, that sort of high ground land expansion instead. And MCV keeps moving forward. He is inching his way to the front line. We might be seeing a little bit of wall building going on. He doesn't have a lot to back this up. 2 Tengus is not much of an army. Oh, that's a really aggressive wall placement. You don't normally see walls that far out. This is, again, just designed to block off this third refinery location. But this MCV is completely exposed. Zugspitze is going to be able to buy some time. He's gone tier 2 on his mecha bay. And I guess if he kills 1 bullfrog, then that's it for the anti-air. And if he keeps his opponent's economy gated, then that does give him a few more options. There's the engineer from the sold-off MCV, and the walls coming up. Tank busters inside of this building. I guess they'll hold off for a moment, but what is the play here? Yeah, there's the Chopper VX. So again, he just has to deal with 1 bullfrog, but the barracks and the war factory can potentially cause some problems. There's a second bullfrog as well. Terror drone is going to let the stasis go as the Tengu kills the terror drone. And now the infantry rush forward. This MCV goes down, so the Soviet get the kill that they were looking for. And this just feels like a disaster on the front line for the Empire player. The engineer gets gunned down, but the barracks will not produce any flak troopers, and now there's no bullfrogs. Both bullfrogs went down, so now the hammer tanks are just going to get pummeled. The Tengu camping on top of that barracks meant there were no flak boys to come on out. This hero hammer has actually survived the first part of this engagement. He'll get gunned down by the tank busters, and both players, it feels like, with some critical missteps in that engagement. The MCV bought just enough time, and then that hero Tengu managing to get the kill on those critical units. But now the jig is up, the game is known, and there's no MCV for the Empire player. He didn't even get the cash boost from selling it off either. Barracks ends up going, or the building ends up going down. The dojo is still here on the front line, pumping out Imperial Warriors, pumping out Tank Busters as well. Chopper VX is looking for an angle. The Bullfrogs are not here. They're a little bit late to the party. There's the transform of the Tengu. 1 hammer tank already dead. 2nd hammer tank guaranteed gone as the bear gets knocked down by that VX falling from the sky. The building has been abandoned, and the bears rush over top of these barracks units, but the Tengu is here to keep everyone else safe. The Bullfrogs not close enough to clip the wings of that Tengu, and that's a fully heroic conscript inside of that building, just slowly but surely gunning down those units. Rat-a-tat, rat-a-tat, knocking them down one by one. It's going to take him a while, but he'll get there eventually. 2 heroic conscripts. Not something you see very often anyways. And the Terror Drone gets the lockdown on this Tengu as well. Imperial Warriors trying to shut down these bears on the front line. The Tengu got the critical kill on the first bear. Tsunami Tank gets a kill on another Bullfrog. Once again, the VXs can come in to punish this Soviet army. And behind that, the third has never been taken. DarkFrom with that no MCV, no Crusher Crane build. Both players locking themselves into a room and deciding to just fist fight it out. But once again, the Bullfrog goes down. The hope of the Soviet evaporates, and Zugspitze gets the win. 3 in a row against DarkFrom. An incredibly close fight back and forth in this third game, but the scoreline doesn't quite reflect it. DarkFrom will drop down to the lower bracket, and Zugspitze advances into round 5. All good things must come to an end, and this is going to be the last best of 5 of this video, because it's going to be all best of 7s from here. No, just kidding. I mean, it is going to be best of 7s, but this is the last series of this video, so let's kick it off here on Deep Sea with a player we haven't seen yet. This is MirageTank. Great name, great for me to say, nice and easy for my dumb brain. Meanwhile, in the south, we've already seen him, but we didn't know it. This is opshijiao. Again, another player that we have seen a little while ago. He was in Chrono Clash many, many moons ago. Top 3, top 4? Don't remember exactly where he finished. I think he lost to Andre, and he placed top 3 in that particular event. But I think he was playing Empire back then, and here, I believe he is playing random, going to be drawing Soviets versus the very aptly themed MirageTank allied player. And if we don't see this guy building any Mirage tanks, then I'm going to be very disappointed. Does go for the airfield quite quickly here on Deep Sea. Gets himself the oil derrick. Little bit of early Soviet control here in the middle of the map. Also this building over here. This low ground structure there. Nice map presence and map awareness from opshijiao. He's got his little spies everywhere he can go. And eventually, there we go. Eventually this dog will go down. He almost sent all 3 bears in at once, which in theory could have led to a bit of a disaster where you end up losing them all because the bark is timed perfectly. And then he backed one of the bears off so that they would not be synced up. And walls coming in as well from the allied player. He's walling off his front door. He is going to cause this Soviet player to have to go around, and it's right into a third base as well. So this is all off of the one airfield. The barracks was sold off. This is quite a slim build in terms of units, in terms of production. You don't have a lot of defense. You can't always go for those multi-gunner turrets, but he's also nearly maxed out on power, so he doesn't have a lot of headroom to work with here if he wants to go for those multi-gunners. Goes for the bullfrog, or goes for the sickle, ends up losing both Vindicators, but there is going to be the multi-gunner turret to push these units away. And you saw opshijiao utilize that cashback, but he didn't even need it because nothing actually died. It might expire before any of these units go down because both of the Vindicators died. He does now have a cryocopter out on the field. Bear gonna take a couple of strays from that multi-gunner turret, and the terror drone will get an easy infect on this harvester. Nicely done there by opshijiao, and will end up possibly killing that harvester. At the very least, he'll force it off the line, force it to drive all the way over, and no, that's it. GG comes out, and MirageTank is dead. opshijiao strikes first and puts the first point on the board. We're changing the venue. We're changing the matchup as well. Sticking with the blue, but this time drawing Empire. This is opshijiao. Meanwhile, on the left side, rocking the green allies, it's MirageTank once again. Quick defeat there for MirageTank. Ends up going to Infinity Isle afterwards. Does have a little bit of Empire to worry about, so he's going to be able to grab his oil derrick at least. He doesn't have to worry about any bears rushing across the map. But he does get the scout on what opshijiao is up to. And now it is going to be maybe another airfield play. He went for the barracks, but is he going to be going for the naval yard or just into the second refinery? There we go. Second refinery up and running. No super fast riptides. He's not worried about those Imperial ground forces. This is quite a few dojos that have been sent around. He's got 3 of them, 2 of them still built, and a third one roaming around at least. A couple of Imperial warriors, and he is going to be able to bust down that building, bust it open, so that it does not cause any problems for that oil derrick. Airfield is now up. No Jav packed along with it, though. He does have the spot for the power plant if he wants it. Oil derrick taking some early damage. Opshijiao happy to play this one out nice and normal. He has not spotted any suspicion of cryocopters, so he doesn't have to be worried about these first 2 or 3 minutes. And indeed, he even spots, I think, out here with the burst drone, the 3rd refinery on its way. So he knows that it is more of an eco play than an all-out aggression play. And the barracks also still here for that Empire player. He's just hoping that he can find that perfect spot, get the crush, get the deploy, whatever it is. First Apollo taking a little bit of damage there. Second Apollo taking a bit of gunfire as well. Walls coming up. Got to buy some more time. Is he going tier 2 or is he going for something else? But he's running out of cash. He just puts up the walls enough to stop them from pathing that way, but he doesn't actually finish them. And there's the cancellation. He gets the cash back, and he will be able to deal with that. Apollo's going against the Tengus. One Apollo gets split apart there, and the Vindicator gets eliminated as well. There goes the Jav. 3 for 3 on that target acquisition. Finally, the Apollos managed to get one back, and the Imperial Warriors are running scared from the Peacekeeper wall. Where's the multi-gunner turret? Nowhere to be seen. The MCV gets a crush. He at least manages to get one back, and these Peacekeepers are now cornered next to the wall near that refinery. Imperial Warriors, they're going to face the music as this MirageTank MCV goes for the crush. The dojo can escape out to the water, and the Tengus can as well, but those Imperial Warriors trapped on land. They never learn to swim, and they won't be able to avoid the crush forever. MCV may have gotten some kills, but the Harvester gets killed in return, and another Harvester under threat. MirageTank's economy going to be falling apart, losing the oil derrick, losing a Harvester, maybe losing a second. He once had a mighty 3 refinery economy, but not any longer. Although his Harvester is probably coming back online soon. He doesn't have a lot of cash, down to about $100 left as his MCV packs up once again, and the Apollos do manage to chase down a Tengu as it doesn't transform over the middle of the map. He does end up falling. There's the transform and the snipe of that Vindicator. They're happy to fight these Apollos now. Trade 1-for-1 Tengu for the Apollo, but when you count the Vindicator, it's a win for the Empire. Second airfield out here on the water. MCV still looking for the crush on that Imperial Warrior. And now the Harvester can be harassed, or the air units can be chased, as the Apollos will turn and fight. These Tengus outnumber them. The Apollos do have the repairs nearby, but 2 Apollos end up going down. Fresh Tengu shows up. The rest of them are on the deck, so they can't be shot down just yet. Apollo, still only at like half HP, needs to go back down on the deck immediately to get out of range of those Tengus. And opshijiao just hard pushing with these Tengu numbers, not letting up the gas at all. He is keeping the pressure up. As the Tengus turn, they find the engagement onto the Apollos. Another Apollo going down as he tries to land. The wings clipped, and he is not making it home. Refinery's back up and working for the Allied player, so he's at least stabilized his economy. He has passed the income per minute of his opponent. And as you can see there, opshijiao taking it back for a moment. and just a little teeny tiny spike there over to the opshijiao side of the line, and then the third refinery comes back online, and things go back over to the MirageTank side. Of course, the oil derrick helping to even those up a bit. Apollo's hunting for the fight. MirageTank gonna try and just make this happen. We haven't seen the move into VXs, so it is still just a pure Tengu firepower army with point defense drones. They do trade better, but this was a lot of Apollos here on the front line. It's gonna be costly for the Tengus. Both players losing a lot, but the airfield still stands. The reinforcements come in, and the Apollos trying to juke and dive, dodge the shots of the Tengus as another Tengu goes down, and they might have even been better just transforming and killing off the airfield underneath. They fought it out in the skies, and that was not a clean victory for either player. Both players losing quite a bit in that fight. It swings into opshijiao's favor and then back over to MirageTank's side of the map. Cryoshot going to be firing off, gets the harvester, gets the kill, and he does also spot the high ground third refinery on the way. Harvester getting cleaned up, will eventually go... No, he rounded the corner. Can he round the next corner as well? And now the DPS is lowered as well because it's only 2 Tengus. But okay, I think they've finally closed it. No, he rounds another corner. He's going to be able to get away. And those Tengus in an impossibly tight space. This Harvester juking for his life, managing to stay away from that Tengu. The Tengu is trying to stay on top of him so that the splash damage kills them both, and indeed it will be the trade. 1-for-1 there as MirageTank goes down to a single harvester. opshijiao once with a big army advantage, only now getting up to that tier 2. We haven't seen any tier 2 units just yet. He is going for the Defender VX. He's got the Defender online in just a moment. And I think once he deploys his MCV, he'll be fine in terms of electricity. But for the current moment, he can't sell off his MCV. Okay, he sells off that Defender core there. MCV now on the move again. VX is now out on the field, so finally, opshijiao can actually shoot up from the ground. Second airfield here. Naval Yard, nowhere to be seen. War Factory, nowhere to be seen. Barracks, nowhere to be seen. It's been 8.5 minutes, and the Allied player has been airfield only for like 8 of those. He didn't have the original barracks for all that long. He got the Javelin, a couple of PKs, got the Engineer for the oil derrick, and then sold off the barracks, and it has been pure airfield since then. Just aircraft all day, all the way for the Allied player. There's going to be the Cryoshot coming in, finds the Harvester. He's 2 for 2 in terms of that timing. Sometimes you do see players react to it, or the timing isn't correct, and the Harvester is in the wrong spot in its journey. The Cryoshot doesn't actually freeze it, but MirageTank has landed 2 for 2 in that case. Fourth refinery up and running, and he does actually have 4 harvesters up and running as well. opshijiao only has the 2 because he has not yet rebuilt this third one. Middle of the map, there's the VX transform. He's going to be able to kill at least one Apollo. The Tengu's managing to find 1 kill there, not a second though, as it looks like they're going to mostly make it back home. Maybe there was an earlier kill before I clicked over to the fight. Tengu going up for the scout way up into the north, and the Apollos giving chase. They get the angle wrong, and it looks like the Tengu will manage to escape. Apollos turn back around. Third airfield onto the front line. 12 aircraft can be produced, but we also have tier 2 for this Allied player. We have cryocopters as a possibility from the Allies. Another Apollo going down, a little bit too close to the Empire army as he gets pushed around there. MirageTank looking to reclaim that eco lead. It looks like he had it for a while. opshijiao claimed it for a good long while, and now with that 4th refinery up and running, even though the oil derrick has been ticking away for opshijiao, MirageTank is starting to take back that income advantage. He really does need to knock down this oil derrick. Send a couple of Vindicators over, a couple of consecutive bombing runs, 6 Apollos. He's been losing a lot of Apollos to just stray fire from these VXs. More Apollos onto the field. Needs to get a couple of repairs. MCV on the front line, but it's actually Allied walls that are here, not Empire walls blocking off this middle of the map. And that's not even a cryo shot. That's a cryo blast coming in. Needs a little bit of help to get the harvester, but I guess who cares about the harvester when the whole darn refinery goes down? You may have 3 harvesters, but you've only got 2 refineries, buddy. And now you just sort of hope that you lose a harvester in the natural course of things so that you can replace it. Otherwise, you've just got this extra harvester roaming around that you basically never need. Oh, no! That might be disaster. Vindicators happy to trade their lives for that one. Apollo may end up going down as well. Tengu got eliminated, but the big win there was the refinery. I don't know if it was really worth it in the end, but stopping it from being built is worth it. So by the pure numbers, maybe the Allied player lost more by the pure numbers, but by denying that income for another minute or so does add up. And look at this. If this is another refinery being built, it's once again going to be out in the open. It's exposed. Cryocopter's moving into position. I don't know if he had vision on it. It looks like he wasn't ready for it. So he did not think it was going to come out at that timing. He wasn't ready to take the opportunity. So yeah, he moves in. He's late. He doesn't even have the Vindicators ready like on the north side to jump in as it's moving into this position. So it will deploy. opshijiao with a big army flying around the map. Big army from the Allied player as well in terms of army value. But again, keep in mind how many Apollos that is. If that's 12 Apollos, then that's a lot of that's 2/3 of the army value. I guess it's not 12 Apollos, but it's like 8 Apollos or something, 9 Apollos. So that's a lot of the army value of the Allied player is tied up in those Apollos. So when you see that big army advantage for the Allied player, it's actually a lot closer in terms of the ground army. Yeah, 10 Apollos. So you take 20,000 army supply and you subtract 10 from it, and that's what the ground armies are at versus each other. Javelins moving around, looking for the angle. Cryocopters also, you know, they only shoot down. They can't kill anything. They only freeze. Tengu's looking for the engagement. The Apollos wanted it more. VX is on the front line. There's the transform. A couple of Apollos going to be going down. Vindicator goes down easily as well. The trade back is maybe a Vindicator, but not much goes down on the Empire side. And the Allied player has the income to potentially replace those units, but you don't want to just be replacing units forever and never actually go for anything. This dog blocking this refinery location, which player will notice first and be able to rectify the situation, because sometimes you just send it over and you don't notice the Eva queue when she tells you that that location couldn't be deployed at. Okay, there we go. Dog gets cleaned up. It looks like there was another opportunity there. That's 2 opportunities to snipe additional naval or refinery cores, and it just doesn't work out. Big Cryogeddon doesn't find anything. Shrink comes in from the Cryocopters. There's Transform. Vindicators are not able to find any real targets because the Tengus own the sky. Transform is good. Emperor's Rage is good, but this is a lot of Apollos as well. The trade is heavy on both sides as the Apollos look for the re-engage, and they find 3, 4, 5 Tengus, and the Strikers need to transform, but I don't think they're on cooldown yet. They need to get down onto the ground. Another 2 Strikers going down. Those VXs falling from the sky. Both players losing a significant amount, and MirageTank retains the army value advantage there. Vindicator nearly going down, just a couple of rockets from those VXs. And that's the army grade. opshijiao getting a big win in terms of the army grade as the cost per unit basically shifts into his favor, but not by very much. The army values are overall quite close. The army quality, rather, is quite close between the two players. Dolphin on the way over can always switch to the far side when you've got just one base defense. You can't easily defend that location because the Dolphin, yeah, just goes to the far side. And now you do have to send units over, but at least he does have that early warning system. Assault Destroyer also moving out. That first game felt like quite a bit of domination by opshijiao, but this second game is a lot more back and forth. MirageTank having a rough beginning to this game, but he has found a lot of value and found a lot of ways to fight back in this match. Strikers once again getting frozen down, in the Tengus, they were almost baited way out onto the water, and then the Assault Destroyer shows up in the main base, and now suddenly the Strikers are fighting by themselves. They don't have the Tengus to help them deal with this air force. Cryocopters, did they just like crush the entire effective army of the Empire player? A couple of Cryocopters, an Assault Destroyer, and a bunch of Apollos. It looks like an easy win for MirageTank. It looks like he barely had to do anything as another VX gets locked down. He will come out of the freezy mode and will get a couple of shots off there versus those Cryocopters. Gets shrunk down again, and the Cryocopter micro is maybe turning into too much. What is that Assault Destroyer doing? He's not killing off the VX, and there he finally does. GG gets called. MirageTank puts his own point on the board, and opshijiao has a strong start, but falls apart. Welcome to the darkness. Welcome to nighttime here on Epicenter Island. It's game 3, but we are repeating the matchup from that game number 2. opshijiao rocking the Empire once again. Soviet Empire. He lost with Empire, so we'll see if it bodes well for him. He's undefeated as Soviets, at least in this particular series. Undefeated. Meanwhile, Empire, he has yet to get a win in the series. And, of course, we'll see how MirageTank does on this new map. Couple of dojos coming out from the Empire player. Doesn't deploy his dojo nice and close to the oil derrick, but he does have quite a few scouts moving out around the map. Burst drone, dojo, maybe even some Imperial warriors making their way through the middle. Airfield comes up, and he does also have the Javelin Soldier on the inside of these walls, just to make sure. Oh, the dojo outmatches the Peacekeeper. Unfortunate for the allied player. And, MirageTank's Harvester, it looks like it is running into a slight pathing issue. Maybe that's adding, it might add a second. It might only add a half second to those trips. A bit unfortunate when that does happen. And there is sometimes nothing you can do. Sometimes you can just sell off a couple of walls, but the Empire forces are streaming across the map. If this was a later stage of the game, we might call this a parade push, but this is just an early game stream of Imperial warriors. So if you've got the anti-infantry to deal with them, then you can cut this down. Javelin Soldier fires off one missile there, and the Vindicators are not firing their bombs. They are waiting. There goes a power plant, so MirageTank is just gonna run out to the water. He says, I don't want to be on land anyways. And, that's the only thing that's outside of the walls that the Imperial Warriors can attack. So now they need something to bust down the walls before they can do anything. Tengu's moving out, Apollo's also moving out, and the Apollo's scouting across the middle of the map, looking for the angle, looking for something to fight. Second airfield up and running for the allied player. No tier 2 on that mecha bay just yet. And for now, the Imperial Warriors, they've got their only kill. They've got the one kill that they can go for. Tengu clears the high ground, and do we have a third refinery on the way? Not just yet from opshijiao. Tengu's clearing out the back line as well. And I guess the players can just do whatever they want. Refinery should be coming up. Okay, there we go. Third refinery here for MirageTank. And it looked a little bit dicey there, but because of the walls, the Tengus haven't come over to clear out the walls. There's quite literally nothing the Imperial Warriors can do. And that's going to be nice bomb splitting from MirageTank to try and get as much coverage on these units as he can. And the Vindicators, you know, they can just cycle through and slowly but surely kill off all of those units. Another power plant is up for MirageTank, and now he can take this fourth refinery up here on the high ground, which would normally be your natural expansion. He can take that as his fourth, and he's got his little pocket there between his main base, the water expansion, and the high ground being his little pocket 4. 5 Apollos over top. These Tengus can transform and win the fight. If they get their point defense drones, it will be quite overwhelming. But even if they've just got the repairs, I mean, current moment, take a little bit of damage. Okay, that guy can't be repaired. That one's gone for good. But the Apollos do at least have Overwatch. They see that there's no third refinery. MirageTank, he is once again setting up for a, I guess, nice, slow, long, multi-airfield game. For an Island player named MirageTank, he sure does have a lot of aircraft in these games. Not a lot of ground units for someone named MirageTank. Reminds me of Andrew, who plays a lot of the time under the handle Never Cheese, and he went through like a 2-year period where he basically exclusively in competitive and tournament matches would cheese and go for turret pushes only. And so his name was Never Cheese, and his strategy was always cheese. And in this case, MirageTank never builds Mirage tanks. And the Tengus are hiding there along the edge of the map. Apollo's skating over top. He's like, what? Where's this guy's army? It is somewhere, right? It has to be somewhere. One Tengu going to be moving in, and right there the Apollos do actually see the Tengus. There's the big transform. Vindicators can come in for a bombing run. Oh, they got turned around. They were back over on the other side of the map, and he's worried about this refinery location. So the Harvester will get pulled off the line. Vindicator gonna find a little bit of damage there. Striker gets a couple of missiles back, but the VX won't get the kill. I really thought MirageTank was going to be going for the 4 refinery setup. He lost his oil derrick, so I thought he would want to replace that income with something, but he really doesn't. And also, he's been a little bit slow on cleaning up some of these scouts. Does finally kill off that Imperial Warrior, who was keeping eyes on his base for quite some time. Apollos, just huge numbers of Apollos roaming around the map. Transformers transforms nice and quickly with those VXs. That Apollo turns to fight, won't find it. Vindicator goes down as well. And here's the push in. That Javelin soldier from like 30 minutes ago still hanging out inside of those walls. Multi-gunner turret gets deployed as well. Riptide's not here. Hydrofoil's not here either. The naval yard gets built, but nothing comes out of it to help deal with this army. He could be going for that assault destroyer once again, but there is nothing to deal with these Tengus or the VXs if they transform. And using a cryo shot on 3 Imperial Warriors never feels good. Vindicator takes a lot of shots, but does still survive. Harvester's alive for now, but they aren't actually working when they are just hiding from the Tengu. MCV now under threat. There's not high DPS here because of the gun types. There is high DPS because of how many guns are shooting. This is like 1,000 BB guns being pointed at you, and they're just slowly but surely whittling down this MCV. This MCV might actually just die. The assault destroyer is going to try desperately to save it. Black hole armor will save that MCV. The assault destroyer comes in just in time, and he does not stay to find out. He is nearly killed off that MCV, but he did not manage to do it. And those shots are just going everywhere because of the black hole armor, but they're not landing on that MCV. Point defense drones fall off. Harvester still being harassed by that Tengu inside of the walls, and barely that Harvester does survive. VX is trying to keep those Apollos and those Vindicators away. But opshijiao, at the very least, he does have free range to do whatever he wants. He reapplies the point defense drones. He sends a Tengu up to the north, going for the harass, looking to land on top of that Harvester once again and create multiple points of pressure. Harvesters being harassed in multiple locations, and the Assault Destroyer is the only thing on the land that's here to defend against these attacks. But of course, with all of these walls up, with Tengus being the only anti-ground forces that are really here. Okay, Striker transforms, takes a lot of damage from the Javelin Soldier, Multi-Gunner Turret, and the Apollos trying to find the angle to engage on this army. There's Transform as the VX go. They're all down on the ground, or I guess they stay down on the ground. And a fourth refinery coming up for opshijiao. He is going for that water expansion, maybe even two of them, as he's keeping MirageTank busy on his side of the map. He hasn't gotten a lot of kills, but he's caused a lot of chaos, and this is a death alley. That's a lot of dead Empire. Okay, it's actually only 4 units, but still, that's a decent chunk of the Empire army just disappearing from that fight. Although both players' army has taken serious hits. As you can see, MirageTank losing a big chunk of his own army as well. But he gets the kill on those couple of transforming units trapped on the ground and frozen into their graves. Apollo goes for the refuel and rearm, tries to get off the deck, and just crashes into the ground once again. The black hole armor, a nearly infinite pool of health for this Assault Destroyer, and it is mass eco now, the play for the Empire player. I'm going to harass your Harvesters, and I'm going 5 refinery. opshijiao feeling it in the water. He knows that something is wrong, or excuse me, MirageTank feeling it in the water, knowing that something is wrong, sends a Dolphin over. Unfortunately, it is just the one Dolphin. Naval Yard is coming up. We can see Yari mini-subs to try and break this naval location. And so far, the pure Transformer army has not worked out for opshijiao. He felt like he was on the verge of breaking open this game and running away with it. And instead of keeping up the pressure, he decided to back off and establish his eco. So that's where we saw him get those 2 additional refineries, giving him 5 refineries plus an oil derrick to live out the rest of this game with. opshijiao, if he can actually get all of these Harvesters working at the same time, then he'll be in a pretty good spot eco-wise at 6.6k per minute. He has taken the lead away from MirageTank. As you can see, MirageTank had the eco lead for a couple of minutes there, 2-3 minutes, and now it's a big shift in favor of opshijiao. He is up nearly 3k per minute over his opponent. And of course, with this high ground refinery coming online, that does change things a little bit. Well, the Tengus are there. They do end up paying a bit of a price versus that Dolphin. Random dojo in the middle of the map. There is also a hospital and the observation post. Nobody really ever grabs those. I guess if you want to go for a lot of infantry, then maybe it would make sense. But in general, players don't like to go for them. Harvester had to deploy into a command hub, was not able to stay online, and this extra Harvester is like, I'm going to back off for just a moment there until that Yari mini-sub is dealt with. And that Harvester running maybe a little bit further than he needed. Is he going tier 3? Is the plan just Yari mini-subs, or does he eventually want to move up to Shoguns? Versus an allied player that has cryocopters, Shoguns can be difficult to work with. However, with how many forces are out on the field for opshijiao, I feel like he could create the space for the Shogun. Like, if he gets one Shogun, he starts shelling this base while he's attacking and distracting MirageTank in another location, then the cryocopters aren't going to be that big of a factor. And the cryocopter gets gunned down anyways. Multi-gunner turrets coming up. This attack happening in multiple places at once. Riptide trying to deal with the Yari mini-subs over there. Tengu's trying to find an angle in on this base. Apollo's looking to shred those Tengus, but they go for the transform, and the jabs will be made short work of. Strikers are here. Those VXs would love to pump rockets into something, but all the air targets ran away out of range of those VXs. And the income advantage may be on the opshijiao side. We'll see how much of his income just gets eaten up by suiciding units into these locations. Multi-gunner turrets trying to hold off against the impending Empire army that seems to be everywhere on the map, in the north, in the south, on the water, in the air, everything getting taken over there by the Empire player. opshijiao even going for this observation post, as you can see, providing him permanent vision of most of the allied base. Not something that we see very often, but it can be a useful tool to help you in these games. And as I bring up from time to time, back in the Red Alert 3 beta, there was a feature where if you had control of all of the observation posts on the map, you actually got vision of the whole map. So it was like, you hold one, you get that little area. If you hold all of them, which in this case would just be 2, you would get vision of the whole map. And obviously during the beta, that was indeed changed. Some maps ended up having 4, so it was a bit of a commitment to get all 4, but then once you had them, it was definitely a nice advantage. Unfortunately, no longer have that for the competitive version of the game, but you know, it was nice, it was fun, but yeah, I definitely understand why they nuked that one. Refinery down here feels a bit exposed. We'll see if he's able to do anything to defend it. It is VXs, but do you want to fight the Tengus with the VXs? Because this is a lot of Tengus from opshijiao. And of course, keep in mind, MirageTank's army, a lot of that army is Apollos. They don't shoot down. So if those Tengus transform, guess what's useless? It's those Apollos. So that army value on the ground is even more in favor of opshijiao. And maybe MirageTank has been stretched a little bit too thin. Assault Destroyer goes down, Barracks gets broken, Expansion in the south gets eliminated, and MirageTank holds the line for now, but it feels like he's about to lose more territory. This is a lot of Tengus. They're just moving in now. opshijiao has lost his fear, and the Tengus shred absolutely everything. MirageTank getting cut down. No MirageTanks, no win. There's the big transform as these jabs have earned their place in history, but now they're put in the dirt. They may have been heroes of the people, but no longer, as opshijiao puts his second point on the board and moves to match point in this series. And maybe with an allied mirror matchup, we will find the use for the tech airport, which just doesn't have a lot of love given to it. It is in the middle of the map. It's not even like the last game where there was one hospital per player, and you could both have one. This is a tech airport. Maybe there should be like a tech airport up here on these high ground that are currently just empty. Even these high ground have at least a little bit of building. But yeah, we finally do get our mirror matchup. Allies versus allies. MirageTank, look how much space there is to build land units. There's this big open high ground plateau. Lots of space for you to utilize with your MirageTanks. Maybe we'll finally get to see them. opshijiao will be representing allies. Now, for the first time in this series, it did take us 4 games to get into the allies' place, but we finally do get to see the mirror matchup between these guys. And of course, as I mentioned, I think pretty much every single time we see this map, 7 refineries with the double expansion up here. That big build radius for the allied player does make that pretty easy to take that 4 refineries. Move your MCV to the north, and you get 2 right there. They're reasonably defensible. It's reasonably easy to get 4 refineries plus an oil derrick on this map. And of course, you can go for this middle-ish of the map low ground one as well. But we'll see how these players decide to go for it. opshijiao moving his MCV forward, goes for the airfield, but it looks like MirageTank going for that double expand location. Barracks out on the field. Naval Yard is sticking around. This isn't just build 2 Riptides and then sell it off. He is keeping that Naval Yard around. We'll see if he actually goes for more than just the Riptides. But 5 Javs do not need to laser lock this building very long to knock it down. Bye-bye to that oil derrick. And opshijiao has eliminated his first bit of his opponent's eco advantage. And already a refinery is there to replace it. Vindicators come in, goodbye to 1 Riptide, and the Vindicators will take a little bit of hull damage, but that's easy to repair. MCV moves to the southern location, and opshijiao will be getting blocked by this dog. And if the Peacekeeper isn't careful, okay, there he goes. As long as you actually attack the dog and don't just accidentally click over next to the dog, you will be fine. But in that case, he does manage to get the kill, cleans up the dog, deploys the refinery, and it's just in time to match his opponent's 4th refinery timing, because of course he went for that location. And when you go for those Jav soldiers early on like opshijiao did, you have that extra cash spend, which does not allow you to expand as quickly. Additional power plant comes up. The cash spend that MirageTank went for was keeping this naval yard around, producing more and more Riptides. He's built at least 4 of them over the course of this, and he didn't sell off the naval yard, so he didn't get the cash back from selling off the naval yard to put that into one of his refineries. 4th refinery coming up for opshijiao, and will MirageTank try to match that? He deploys another airfield out there on the water. It's not placed super close to this refinery, so I don't think he gets the benefits of the repairs if there is some harassment over there. But we'll see if that ends up mattering. Vindicators popping a couple of, getting popped a couple of shots at them. Javs firing a couple of shots as well. 3 Riptides with PKs and Javelin soldiers. It can be a dangerous thing. If they end up getting bombed, you can lose a lot of army value in one fell swoop. But in this case, they also have the ability to just nuke an opponent's unit if they get the pop and burst, where you just do all of your damage as everything jumps out of those Riptides on top of your opponent. Almost like that, but not quite. Riptide does end up going down. opshijiao gets the kill back, and the Apollo might fall as well. MirageTank managing to escape. Okay, yeah, the Apollo does give up the chase. He's not going for the exact same expansion to match. He is going for the one way out on the water. But there's the airfield. Oh! That is a bit awkward. I'm not sure why opshijiao did that. What prompted him to place that refinery in that location, but he's done it, and he's sticking with it at this current moment. So there is going to be a bit of a discrepancy, even though it says 5 refineries to 5. One player has an oil derrick and a wonky harvester, so those 2 things might kind of even out. 5 refineries to 5. Javs getting a couple of shots. Dolphin trying to defend against this Riptide in the north, trying to deal with that, and Vindicator will just make that a little bit of an easier equation for MirageTank. Power plant goes down. It's not enough to send opshijiao into low power mode just yet. Javelin soldier gets sniped. Laser lock does a little bit of damage, but not enough for opshijiao to be worried. MCV deployed into the middle, and he can properly take his opponent's high ground refinery location. So it is 6 refineries to 6. But of course, with the oil derrick advantage to opshijiao and the wonky harvester disadvantage to opshijiao. Little plus, little minus there, as both of these players even up the eco pretty darn close to each other. Riptides now versus these Dolphins. The Dolphins don't want to take that fight 1 against 1 when you got the torpedoes of the Riptides on the blue side. MCV backs up just a smidge, still tier 1, a little bit of a surprise from opshijiao, although I think it might be still tier 1 as well from MirageTank. Both of these players have to be thinking about tier 2, even if it's for cryocopters or just assault destroyers. Even if we're not going all the way to MirageTanks, you still have to be thinking about it. Harvester ends up going down. It looks like on both sides of the map, someone lost a Harvester. So perhaps Cryo Shot traded for a Cryo Shot between these two players, and Harvester for Harvester. Although I'm not sure where it ended up being. Is this, uh-oh. We might have a bug in the display there. Oh, no. No, that does make sense. It is 5 against 5. But it should be 6 against 5. There we go. We're back online there. Prospector gets spotted. The command hub will be shut down as these Dolphins knock down that expansion point and dodge all of the Vindicator bombs as well. Riptides will be able to push away the Dolphins in the north. opshijiao taking control of the high ground, and for the current moment, MirageTank is just letting him. He's not doing anything to really pressure this location. He did nuke the Harvester once, but other than that, he's been happy to just let it stand. MirageTank will have an additional multi-gunner turret to deal with if he goes for the attack there on the right side of the map. Riptide on the low ground, also trying to keep an eye on things. And both players committing to very low-tech builds, despite the fact that we're 8.5 minutes in. We have Tier 3 finally up and running for MirageTank, so we can finally see MirageTanks. I feel like it's going to be Athena cannons and aircraft carriers, but we'll see what he decides to do. This refinery is prime Athena cannon location. You can just clear that out from the low ground. Multi-gunner turret as well. As long as you've got vision of those things, it's going to be nice and easy to deal with. Dolphins getting cleaned up, Riptides taking a bit of damage, and there's going to be the Athena cannon burning down that refinery. We heard the crackle of the ice, but it was dodged there as that cryo shot will not hit anything. Multi-gunner turret, next free target potentially here for MirageTank. He's teched up to tier 3. We see the Athena cannons, but we don't see any MirageTanks. Not just yet for his namesake, but it is 6 refineries versus 6, or is it just going to be the 5? As that refinery goes down, but this one still stands, and this is going to make 7 if opshijiao can get it. Peacekeepers on the high ground finally going down. Refinery ends up getting eliminated, and opshijiao looking to retake this high ground refinery as well. He wants to keep up the big eco plays. He was behind for a bit on the economy, but then he took back that crown. Athena Cannon is going to have her work cut out for her to clear out all of those units. As you can see, MirageTank with a nice advantage for a little while, very slight advantage, I guess, and then 2.2k per minute advantage for opshijiao for the last couple of minutes, although not so much if he keeps losing all of these refineries. And way down here on the southern edge of the map, we've got a couple of Dolphins looking to make a move as well. opshijiao has a huge amount of surface area that has to be covered as this aircraft carrier leaving port is looking to knock down some of these targets. Dolphins moving in, they're just sort of fighting against that multi-gunner turret, and that's never a place that you want to be. Meanwhile, triple Athena Cannon versus triple Athena Cannon. Who will win out with those big Aegis shields? It's going to be the guy who launches the freeze ray of doom from the sky. And there's going to be the Aegis shield popped at the last possible second. Saves a couple of the units. It's mostly peacekeepers here. So if there is a return fire, they are going to be caught in a freezy and icy grave as the Aegis shield comes in once again. And as that Athena cannon goes down, so goes the shield. The attack gets disrupted. MirageTank trying to hold the front line, but the numbers are just overwhelming from opshijiao. That aircraft carrier doing work on the north side of the map. Multi-gunner turrets can sometimes be the bane of peacekeepers. In this case, they do have the numbers, but they can't break the shield that easily. Vindicator comes out, but the Cryocopter is here to stay. Apollo pushes that away as the refinery goes down, and this game, which was so calm for the first 10 minutes, descends into chaos, as on the other side of the map, that aircraft carrier does not have an answer. opshijiao is focused on this front of the battle. He loses another Athena cannon. There's 4 Athenas on the other side of the map. The assault destroyer there as well. The poking and prodding continues. Another Athena down on the opshijiao side of the map. His backline economy has been broken, and that Athena cannon transferring on the low ground, a big mistake by opshijiao. Bombs come in, but they're of little avail. They find no real target, and meanwhile the multi-gunner turret may be forced to clean up something down there. The main base now under assault. That's a fully heroic aircraft carrier. One aircraft carrier out on the water has caused so many problems for opshijiao as MirageTank gets pushed back towards his war factory. Cryocopter shows up, tanks a couple of shots, Javs putting the damage out, and now it's an Athena cannon war continuing with both sides just barely holding on. And this Peacekeeper is going to get the kill. That boy is a hero. Send him a medal and send him home as opshijiao pulls back up onto the high ground. He may still have 6 harvesters roaming around the map, but his economy, his infrastructure has been devastated. There was a whole tale told about that aircraft carrier that we very much missed on the front lines there, and the economy of opshijiao is just not what it once was. He is still holding on. He does still have a pretty massive army, but again, if we bring up the army quality, it is heavily in favor of opshijiao, because even though the unit count is 15 to 60, that's a lot of PKs, and those are not the most efficient units in these late game fights. Dolphin gets frozen, assault destroyer gets the kill. Cryocopters can be nearly infinitely useful if they have something paired along with them. And the assault destroyer pops his black hole armor so that he can survive the damage from those dolphins. This refinery never re-established here for MirageTank. Peacekeepers looking to move back in. Cryocopter moves in, not able to do anything, and that's a big Cryogeddon that's got a lot of infantry forced into a bad situation, and Athena cannon as well, a high-value target. Aegis shield doesn't cover this army, and opshijiao loses on the low ground. He's pushed up to the high ground, but there's no space to retreat. Guess who's got black hole armor to counter your Cryogeddon? It's a MirageTank. The win was a mirage. The army was just an illusion, and the clapback doesn't happen. opshijiao thought he had the game-winning move to hold off that army with the help of his Cryogeddon, and it just went nowhere. Athena cannons holding the front line, trying to slowly chip away at MirageTank, but the MCV running for the hill. The MirageTank is here to hold the front line. He can cut through pretty much an infinite number of those short-range units, but not when the Athena cannon snipes him from a distance. MirageTank kills the MirageTank, and opshijiao falls to pieces on the high ground. It was nothing for 10 minutes, and then it was a non-stop battle for 5 minutes as MirageTank rolls up onto the high ground and finds nothing to oppose him. Vindicators come in, a couple of assault destroyers going down, and opshijiao, he's lost his tech. He's about to lose his production as well, and he is well spread out. He's rebuilding this MCV, maybe out there on the water, hoping to buy some time. 3 Vindicators. They've got star badges from how many units they've killed. They're looking for those weak and juicy targets, but there's going to be the Aegis shield. The bombs dropped directly in the middle, find a little bit of damage, but not enough. And this assault destroyer leads the charge down the hill. Black hole armor absorbing anything and letting the peacekeepers do the real work. Even the high ground gets cleared out. The temple gets broken, and the aircraft, the assault destroyer goes down, but the peacekeepers get the hit back. They get the kill. That matters, and MirageTank does it. He's sending us to the ace match. And we're once again here on Chrysoberyl Garden. opshijiao letting fortune decide his fate. Rolling as the Empire here in the ace match. MirageTank bringing it back in that last game with a long, hard-fought victory. Also, just nuking his own oil derrick, and also he's going to capture his own oil derrick. What a fun mystery there, as he will do some damage to it and then capture it. So he gets the cash back, he gets a little bit of value out of it, and there's going to be the airfield for MirageTank. This is airfield before his next refinery, so he still has to deploy that refinery. He still has to get his economy up and rolling, but he's got lots and lots of walls to do it with. And I mean, we saw this, that the Imperial Warriors, they can indeed run out of targets to shoot. And there goes the oil derrick. Okay, it's dead. You lost yourselves, I guess, like 2 extra. You probably lost like 30 or 60 bucks there, as if he hadn't javelin soldiered his own oil derrick, maybe he would have gotten a couple of more ticks of the cash out of it. In this case, I don't know, I thought he was going to oil derrick or laser lock it because he just didn't want it and he was denying it from the Empire player, but he did end up taking it. Walls are now complete. Imperial Warriors can't really do anything. Tank busters are a long ways away. There may still be a dojo on the other side of the map. Okay, maybe there's not. It's just Imperial Warriors. But this dojo can potentially deploy. Okay, not if it goes out onto the water. It can't do that. Double airfield. All right, he's doing it again. Double refinery, double airfield. This power plant could get gunned down. It is a little bit of an awkward spot. One Tengu falls, and that Apollo darn close to going down as well. The Vindicators here to return home. The burst drone gets cleaned up, and that was a perfectly executed attack by MirageTank. Not big wins by any means, killing a couple of units, but he did get away with it. And now the Vindicators can go clear out that dojo. Nope, they don't want to. And yeah, with the walls up, the Imperial Warriors can't do anything. If you keep a couple of tank busters and you can get them in range, then you can do something. But obviously they become prime targets for the Vindicators to bomb out. Eventually, MirageTank, I think, will break out of his mold and do something. But for the current moment, he wants to get up to 8 aircraft. Vindicator, drop your bombs. There we go. All right, cleans it up. Doesn't let it actually build. Power plant going to take a little bit of damage. Vindicators may be able to clean up these Imperial Warriors before they get the kill. Yeah, some of them already had some health missing. And he does spot that there are VXs on the field. So for the current moment, power plant is safe. Those Vindicators can bomb out the last couple of Imperial Warriors. Nicely done there. And the MCV is now on the move. Tengu's up near the north side of the map, hiding from the Apollos, looking for the angle, looking for the opportunity. MCV deploys. And there we go. We got the position for that 3rd refinery ready to go. Vindicators moving over the middle. And he gets the kill. I didn't realize he had brought 4 Vindicators with him, but he did eventually get the kill on that oil derrick, so no more extra income for anyone. It is just a pure refinery race from now on. One Tengu is here, watching. He sees that refinery come up. He sees those harvesters, that harvester coming online. He's like, all right, you just killed my old dog. You just took your own refinery. I know what's up. Building does absorb quite a few bombs there. Both players just biding their time. Of course, in this case, the allied player is happy as long as he can maintain the economic advantage, killing off his opponent's oil derrick, managing to get his own third refinery up a bit sooner, although maybe not so much because it's not actually doing anything. We'll see if opshijiao can take an opportunity and can create an opportunity from this situation. Strikers moving in, VXs and Tengus can be a powerful force, but they end up just taking a bit of damage. They go for the transform and they get one back. A pretty even trade, one Tengu for one Apollo. The Tengus will be able to back on off. Dog way out there on the water. No third from the Empire just yet, so as the incomes kind of stabilize, the allied player will be at a bit of an advantage, but not big advantage. Point defense drones come back online. Apollo's moving in, seeing if they can find an angle. A couple of these units need to be repaired, though. Point defense drones are nice, but full health bar is better. No move just yet from MirageTank to go up towards that fourth refinery on the high ground. He is just slowly but surely trying to clear out his side of the map, make sure that everything is safe and the way he wants it to be. Javelin soldiers are about to get dropped on. There's the multi-gunner turret here to absorb a couple of shots as well. Vindicators were refueling and rearming, so that's double multi-gunner turret there on the front line. The Tengus don't want to stick around to fight that for too long, but the Strikers looking for the angle. The power plant can be the weakness, and that's going to be a dead power plant. That's going to be low power mode for the allied player, and maybe opshijiao can find his angle, can find his opportunity here. Now as the transform comes in, the Apollos get pushed away, and the Tengus can transform on top of this power plant if they want. Maybe even go for the harass there against the water harvester. There's the transform, and this is the low health chopper VX, so he's hoping to get the kill and maybe bait a fight as well. A lot of Javelin soldiers going down in the course of this last minute. Another power plant goes down. Once again, low power mode for the allied player. And the transform saves that VX so he can still fight another day. That guy's so low health, just barely hanging on, hoping that he can find a way to see his family once again. 3 refineries versus 4 harvesters. Oh, he does actually have 4 working refineries there for the allied player, and he's going to gun down those walls, but that just is not a quick process for the Empire player. As good as Tengus are, they aren't perfect. They aren't perfect in all situations. Cryo shot getting ready to fire off. He will catch at least one of these strikers, maybe gets both of them. Bombs get used on the first one, and that low health striker survives another fight. Okay, not so much anymore. Twice, though, the other striker ended up dying, and that low health one did survive. Apollos are here. There's the point defense drones. There's transform strikers on the high ground to provide a little bit of overwatch. Vindicator comes in. Apollo's going to be fighting these Tengus. Vindicators come in for another fight, and they manage to clean up half of the strikers that were there. The 3rd refinery up and running. The 4th refinery being guarded by the dog. MirageTank taking a little bit of damage now as this Tengu might end up just dying to the multi-gunner turret. Vindicators will force it to transform or just run away. There's the Apollo ready and waiting. Not able to get the kill immediately. Gonna try and chase it down. Oh, they do clip the wings. And that additional airfield here. MirageTank loves his airfields. Not a big cryocopter player. Obviously, we have seen him use cryocopters, but he is not a 1 airfield, triple Apollo, Vindicator, 3, 4, 5 cryocopters kind of player. He is a mass airfield player. 3 airfields at least in this game, In some of those other games, maybe 4 airfields as well. And it's for the Apollos, it's for the Vindicators, it's not for the Cryocopters. He is up to tier 2. His MCV is potentially under threat. Apollo's going to take some shots here as the rockets come in and the Tengus go for the power plant, looking to shut the lights on this allied player once again. Vindicators happy to drop some bombs and level one of these Tengus. Multi-gunner turret gets a kill and looking to find another. Javelin soldier will be able to put a little bit of pressure on these Tengus, but they're not worried about one single jab. They're more worried about the Vindicators refueling, rearming, and getting ready to go once again. And assault destroyer coming in from the side, pops a shot, gets a kill, and the Empire army falls apart in the last couple of moments there. A big shift towards MirageTank's side of the value graph there as those units explode and the relative army value of MirageTank explodes as well. Tengu, or VX goes for the transform. Tengu maybe the same thing as well. Nicely dodged there, both of those units. But the Apollos come in to clean everything up, and that's not what you want. The dog goes down, but the real target was the core. Vindicator gets saved as well. The first couple of minutes were fine for opshijiao, but it feels like the last 3 minutes especially have been dominant by MirageTank. He has won all of the places that he wanted. He has kept alive all of the units that he wanted. And now 2 more Tengus go down right as this assault destroyer rolls up on the base. Even a javelin soldier here to put out the damage, and no more fight left in him. opshijiao taps out, and MirageTank ticks over into the next round of the tournament. opshijiao will live to fight another day in the lower bracket, and MirageTank has a chance at qualifying through the next round of the BattleNet qualifier. Thank you all very much for watching. Huge shout out to MediaStorm for sponsoring this event. Big thank you to the BattleNet admins and referees for putting this side of the event together. And of course, a huge shout out to the players for participating. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is Cyber signing out.